All right, we're ready.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio, and we did it again. Fastest show in the world.
No, that's the opening bell. Yeah, you got to have a bell in the beginning, right?
The opening and the closing.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I think we just added a feature to our show.
Accidentally, but it works well. So welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, along with
Carrie Smith,
giving you all the late-breaking news of the week, wrapping it up, making sense of it all, giving you some ideas to chew on, some thought, if you will, and leading you into next week, prepping you for the week to come so that you know what you're talking about.
So what do we have on the stack for this week?
The stack is large, folks. There's a lot of stuff going on. I do... I mean, obviously, we're going to touch on Russia. We're going to touch on Obama. But first and foremost...
Page one?
Oh, yeah, I've got page one. You don't have page one?
Nope.
In the stack?
I've got all these pages. We have a little technical difficulty here as we finish up.
As I start off the show with lightning speed, I do want to start off with this. This is something that hasn't been talked about in the media at all. This is from my friends on Facebook in the group.
Is that last week's?
Yeah, that's last week's.
Oh, geez.
In the group, Get Us Out of the United Nations. So if you're not part of that group, ask or request to join that group, and we'll get you in.
So much for being secret.
So they've hooked me up, and they've let me know there's a couple of folks I'm really close with that we share a lot of information, and this came across my plate early this. Well, when I say early this week, it was late this week, probably sometime on Friday. This came across. Do want to give a shout out to 31 U.S. Special Forces troops that were killed in Afghanistan. This happened somewhere around, I think, Thursday, Friday. Something that's not talked about. Media's not talking about it. One of our listeners that I talked to earlier today said that they believe that special forces being shot down like that with a, surface-to-air missile or rocket launcher, whatever the case may be, they'd keep that quiet. But I don't think so. I think when 31 service members, and amongst those service members included a couple of commanders from other foreign countries that are fighting with us as well. Military helicopters shot down in eastern Afghanistan, killing 31 U.S. Special Operation troops, most of them from elite Navy SEAL unit that killed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden.
What?
Yes.
This is getting
it's
weird.
Wrong.
I know that there's a lot of casualties when you're at war, especially this kind of war, and you've seen how many casualties we've had since day one, which would go all the way back to the invasion of Afghanistan in 2002. But
I'm sorry, 7 Afghan commandos. 7. I thought there were only 2.
7 of them did what?
They were in the helicopter as well. They went down as well. It was the deadliest single incident for American forces in a decade-long war.
I'm trying to figure out...
Decade-long war. Yeah. Why are we in Afghanistan?
When I was in high school and we learned all about the different wars throughout history, American history, world history, I remember when they called the one year the 7 Years War.
The 7 Years War.
Thinking, wow, oh my gosh, could you imagine?
7 years.
It's like a lifetime
This is
war.
A decade. This is 10 years.
Yeah, it's like perpetual war.
10 years war. So, the Taliban claimed they downed the helicopter with a rocket fire while it was part in a raid on a house. Oh, the helicopter was taking part in a raid on a house where insurgents were gathered in the province of Wardak late Friday. Said wreckage of the aircraft was strewn at the scene. U.S. officials confirmed to NBC News that the U.S. believes the helicopter was shot down. One senior defense official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said the military does not have any indication that it was anything other than hostile fire.
Okay. Well, what's that say? ISIS in Afghanistan?
Well, I mean,
Or
insurgents, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all of them.
So what's the news here? Obviously, it's a shame we lost 31 people, but to me, because this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Nobody's hearing about this. Nobody. I told my dad is a high information voter, and he's glued to the talk radio all week long, and something like this on a Friday would certainly, you would think, would come out. I hadn't heard. The only place I heard about this was on the internet.
It happened on Friday.
It happened on Friday.
Well, I mean, in their defense, those talk shows come on early in the day. It's possible they just didn't get it.
Well, you know what they did talk all about? Obama going to Oregon on Saturday.
Okay.
To go protest. I mean, no, he's not protesting, but
he protests America every day.
Yes, he does.
So let's just get that off my chest right there. So we're rest in peace to 31 troops. The only other thing I could say about this is it just seems so weird that all these special forces, and they always are able to say some of which or all of which were involved in the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. Just it gets my tinfoil hat wrinkled. It does. It wrinkles the tinfoil hat. Kind of weird.
You know, and I'm not saying there's some conspiracy theory behind this, but
maybe it seems like it. Okay, let me give the benefit of the doubt here.
All right.
Maybe it seems like it because the this war in particular has a lot more involvement with special forces as opposed to traditional ground forces, which would be just infantry, storming into a country or whatever, storming the beaches of Normandy or whatever. Whereas this is more like, okay, if you're just an infantryman, rifleman, whatever, you're going to be defending some base somewhere.
Right.
But the real action is going to be going on with just special forces. So when we hear about casualties and then we hear it's special forces, we're like, man, that's weird.
That's not. We don't normally hear special forces that much.
I know, it's like all the time. It's like when you hear about casualties, especially like in the past year, where there's like less real. I don't know. It doesn't seem like we're doing anything other than nation building, which is so frustrating. But.
Well, let me give out the call-in number. If you want to be part of the show, you want to add to the show, you have something you want to sound off about, give us a shout-out, give us a call. 772-49-SMITH, S-M-Y-T-H.
And we have our producer...
currently plug and play.
Taking calls frantically. Hangs up on most of them because of the fact that they are crazy.
Yeah, well, you know how it is.
So we're going to talk about Russia today, and we're going to talk about Ben Carson. He was in the news quite a bit, all the way up till today. I actually listened to him on Deface the Nation.
Nice.
North Korea's in the news.
Oh, boy.
So we'll talk about that. Yep. Trump. Do you guys know who Trump is?
There's a guy named Donald Trump.
Yeah, he might be in the news today.
He's made some news.
Hitler's in the news? Hitler? I mean, well, Ben Carson and Hitler.
Hitler, I don't know, air quotes, Hitler, he's back.
Did they exhume the body?
Oh,
Actually, he was never buried. I think he's on display in the Kremlin.
Currently.
He probably
along with Stalin.
So Israel is in the news.
Yep. But let's do that. That's with the troops being shot down and the tinfoil hat. It's a great segue into this. Did you ever see the day in your life that you would ever almost believe Russia more than your own president?
This has been a very, very strange week.
Who would you believe, Obama or Putin?
Well, we've gotten to the point now. Well, let's put it to you this way. I don't mean to get off on a tangent. This all ties in together.
Right.
But people can't figure out why. Well, I should say the media. The media can't figure out why when they bash all of the Tea Party outsiders, or any outsiders running for the GOP nomination, or even Bernie Sanders,
Oh, jeez.
who'd be considered an outsider for all intents and purposes, how he's doing so well, how all these outsiders and the media is constantly trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink at the outsiders, and it just is not working. And in fact,
No.
it may actually be working in reverse. So the way I look at that is nobody believes the media anymore. Not even Fox News. It used to be for a long time, MSNBC and CNN, whatever they said, you just knew was a total and complete fabrication, lie, spin, whatever. And it was Fox News who was actually giving both sides and coming up with conclusions that were realistic, or at least reporting honestly and all that stuff. Now it's to the point now where people aren't even believing Fox News anymore. So segue over to Putin. When Obama says something, or if the American media speaks about something that Obama said on Obama's behalf, and then Putin comes out and says something that contradicts that, the American public
Who do you believe?
is automatically not going to believe Obama or the media saying anything on his behalf. Automatically. So what is it, the default is, well, I guess Putin's telling us the truth.
Amazing.
It just blows my mind.
I almost don't have words.
Well,
for it.
I didn't fall for it initially because what was my, you heard us in, I don't know if it was last week's show or the week before, but I said it looks like a proxy war between America and Russia's brewing.
Right.
And because both sides are complete communist sympathizers, or at least that was what my thoughts were back then, that doing what communists do, their number one, their point offense in communism is propaganda.
Correct.
And because of that, they are very good at it. They are so good at it. So you have two communist leaders, or at least Putin you could consider to be a former or part of former communist state of USSR.
Right.
You have Obama, who is the current communist attempting to turn America into a Soviet States of America.
Because we are under a coup. We're currently under a coup.
So what you have is two people who are clearly well-versed in propaganda that are going to be in a proxy war. So what's their point offense on both sides? Propaganda. And they're just going to be lobbing crazy stuff. You know the friendly fire thing in the hospital.
The hospital.
As soon as I heard that, what timing? What timing?
Did we let that one out the bag quick, right off the point?
Think of the timing of the hospital being bombed in Afghanistan. Right after all this stuff about Putin attacking Syria and all this stuff. Honestly, I don't know whether we did the bombing or not, but I guarantee you that Putin had a lot to do with it, making sure that it was front and center on the news.
Well, they're saying that absolutely America did bomb.
They had apologized for it.
A bomb, yeah, the hospital. And there was an article that came out and said something to the fact, well, all's fair in love and war. I mean, it kind of happens.
Collateral damage, and
it's going to happen.
There's going to be friendly fire.
And then America said, the military said that they were called in by the locals and they were told to shoot and aim at this target, which wound up being a hospital. So there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misinformation.
Right. Well, okay, let's go back to the very beginning of the program. We're able to suppress the deaths of 31 Special Forces troops.
Right.
Nobody knows about it. It's not going to make the media. And all of a sudden, we can't stop that a hospital blew up in Afghanistan and it happened to be our guys blowing up. How are we not able to say, I mean, our guys could have said anything. The military could have came out and said, terrorists blew up a hospital.
Right.
But no, it was like, it almost took them by surprise. Like, wait, we bombed a hospital? Oh, how did we not see that? I'm telling you, I think that Putin might have had something to do with the actual release of the news on that.
Oh, sure. So check this out. There's a Russian diplomat in Britain having a Twitter war with other Brits, on war back and forth with words, including America throwing their hat in the ring, not on Twitter, but they came back and said something. So check this out. Putin met Francis Hollande. They met to discuss actions as Russian generals confirmed 14 further strikes on targets in Syria, which took place on Thursday, I believe. One attack reportedly destroying a large ISIS bomb-making facility, while the Kremlin claimed others had hit a command post, bunker, and storage depot used by the extremist group. Oh, speaking about that storage depot, did you know about this?
Mm-mm.
The storage depot was right next to the command center.
Okay.
And so they hit the storage depot, and by proxy, destroyed the command center as well.
So
you're an ISIS commander, and you're like, hey, boss, why we got the bomb so close to your office, man?
we talked about this in last show, I think. Blew up the command center. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
So Barack Obama said Russia's bombing campaign was strengthening rather than degrading ISIS in the region. So that's what Obama says. Britain and the U.S. have demanded Russia halt its bombing of Syrian opposition groups and please target
Pretty please.
Islamic State targets instead.
Okay.
So, just to clarify, Assad, who is the regime in quasi-power in Syria, is fighting these rebels in Syria.
No, you're saying Putin is specifically targeting rebels, or is he? No, the reason I ask, let me point this out to all you guys.
No. Yeah, this is going to get good.
Okay, so all you guys listening, in America, we have the surgical bombing,
Right.
and we like to categorize people. And don't think for a second that Russia hasn't done that. You know, the class warfare and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But we're all about these surgical strikes and trying to kill the exact right group of people and all this kind of stuff. Russia, remember back in the day, it was shortly after 9/11, sometime in the early 2000s, a terrorist took over an entire building full of Russians in Russia. 400 people in this building. I think it was like a theater or something.
Yeah.
Guess what they did to end this terrorist attack?
We gotta shut this down.
Yeah. So guess what they did?
What did they do?
Poisoned everybody.
What did they get? What they were?
They
going
stopped
after?
it.
They stopped. What
They stopped it. They
stopped.
said, "Okay, we're going to fumigate," and they killed everybody. And I remember thinking, "Ooh, that's kind of rough," but hey, they killed those people. So it makes me fast forward to today.
So you're telling me Putin would not negotiate with terrorists?
Oh, he did not do that. He said, "Oh, okay."
Obama's
you take
upset
these.
about that.
It's like this. Okay, you took over 400 hostages. We're just going to consider those people dead already.
Right.
So let's just kill everybody.
Okay, fair enough.
So here's what I'm thinking. If you take that same line of thinking and fast forward it to today, what's going on in Syria, is Putin saying, hey, they're Syrian. They got to go. ISIS? What do you mean ISIS? What do you mean rebels? Are they Syrian? Are they in Syria? We're killing them.
Well, and the whole point is, though, is that Putin is trying to shore up the government of Syria, which is Assad, which has been in place prior. I'm not telling you it's a good regime. I'm not telling you Putin's
so
good.
He's at least not after Assad and in particular.
Correct, in his regime. So it seems like Putin is propping up the Syrian government to get a handle on this ISIS thing.
Okay.
That's what it looks like so far. So,
but he's not. He's attacking the people that are against ISIS, the rebels who would fight against ISIS.
No. Well, that's what Obama wants you to think.
Oh, wow. See, I'm not up on the propaganda.
The rebels are who were supplied and funded by Obama,
right?
Trying to overthrow Assad.
But are they also fighting ISIS?
With
what? So we're just totally being lied to.
Oh yeah.
What is going on here?
Oh, it's a nightmare.
So at the end of the day, we have to just go ahead and, if we want to get truth, we got to listen to Putin. That's messed up, man.
I don't know. So Britain and the U.S. have both demanded that Russia halt its bombings of the Syrian opposition, which is the rebels, and target the Islamic State, the IS, target IS. I'm like, what? Well, so they're playing a game with words. Okay, other allies like France and Turkey, they warned in a statement. They warned that attacking minor rebel groups, Russia, will only fuel extremism.
Against who? Against all non-Muslims, or what are we talking about here?
I don't know.
Or against Russia?
That's just their statement. Their statement was, you are going to fuel hitting small groups of rebels. See, we're telling Russia, not we, these governments, the weakest ones ever, France, Britain, and America, the ones who are bowing down to Islamic terrorism, are going to Russia and say, whoa. You don't know what you're doing, bro. You need to slow your roll. If you want to win this, you can't be hitting the small little rebel groups.
Well, what do they want them to hit?
ISIS.
But ISIS is... But aren't they hitting both?
Oh, yeah. Dude is leveling everything.
Well, what is your opinion on a Russian general barging into an American base and saying, we need you to go ahead and ground all your aircraft?
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem.
That happened too.
Yeah, that did happen. That's
right before it all started.
That's some big cojones.
Like, hey, we need you to go. But in America's defense, they said you can go yourself.
Right. So the Twitter thing, one of Vladimir Putin's leaders, I see they were quibbling back and forth in actions of Vladimir Putin's army against Islamic State, war-torn Syria, were legitimate. Putin said, hey, what we're doing is legitimate by international law. And then the tweet was like, unlike others, meaning the hit on that hospital. So they were, and then just kind of quibbling back and forth on
it's
who's hitting who and why you're hitting. It seems like, and this is what's so painful, it really seems like Putin is being straightforward and honest, which is...
Well, and if he's not, he's doing a better job at propaganda.
He's doing a way better job.
Right. As far as what propaganda is saying a lie as if it was either journalism, like fact, like hey, we're just reporting the facts, or history.
Right.
So it's a lie, but it's presented as truth. If you believe it, it's good propaganda.
Right.
If you don't believe it, then your name is Obama.
Right. So they were taking swipes at Britain's lack of airstrikes against the terrorist group, as well as the RAF pilots flying U.S. planes over Syria.
Why does RAF need to fly U.S. planes?
And the killing of 3 British jihadists in a drone attack without informing Parliament.
Parliament of Syria?
Britain killed 3 British terrorists
that went. Yeah, they're
that joined
treasonous
ISIS,
defectors, whatever,
with a drone. However, they have to notify Parliament before they do that to make it legal.
Oh, I thought you were going to say so that they can warn them.
Well, no, I mean, like if Obama is supposed to tell Congress and the Senate before he releases Bo Bergdahl, and we're going to get to that later on, by the way.
Oh, my goodness.
So before he trades for the Fab Five, he's supposed to tell Congress. Well, he didn't do that. Felt he didn't need to. Well, this is the same situation, and Russia is making fun of the Brits by not following their own protocol. Dude, you ain't even following your own protocol. What are y'all talking about? And so,
all's fair in love and war?
Right. So officials were responding to that tweet. I guess Mr. Hammond, he wrote, Russia must be clear with international community that it is targeting ISIL or AQ-affiliated militias and not moderate hashtag Syria opposition forces. Dude, what?
I hate that word moderate. Will you just
What?
knock it off? What do you mean moderate? You mean more like somebody you'd like to go have a beer with? I mean,
Right.
what are you talking about?
So Britain is trying to be wordy with the. You guys better play fair.
Oh boy.
And people, I'm looking at that as weak. Well, they are coming off weak whenever they make their statements, and Putin is coming off strong and solid, like he owns it. Who are you going to believe? You're going to believe the guy that owns it, and that's dangerous because he might be lying.
I don't know.
He might be lying.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
He might be lying. So, what was that? Oh, check this out. I got this little back and forth that I want you to play along with me. Who would you like to be? Would you like to be Steve Croft or President Barack Hussein Obama? And you got to do the voice if you choose Obama.
I guess Steve Croft.
Okay. Jeez. So you left it to me. So
Do I have to
tonight,
follow the script?
yes.
Okay.
So tonight on 60 Minutes, Obama will be on with Steve Croft, and they'll be talking about Putin's leadership. We have got hot off the wire
Oh, really?
a transcript of part of that interview.
Great. Awesome.
And that part
we're
of that
going to reenact it for you. So you guys go ahead and make your popcorn now.
Right. Set it all up. So Obama comes straight off the bat. I'm going to read that from, let's see, letter A, B. Oh, C starts with Steve Croft, so I'll do A and B. So Obama comes off and says, President Vladimir Putin's military mission in Syria? A sign of Russia's weakness, not a show of leadership. Russia's been forced to prop up a teetering Assad regime. Russia's only ally in the region is Assad. Mr. Obama speaks at length to Croft about situations in Syria, about domestic politics, including his opinions on Hillary Clinton's use of private server emails, whether his Vice President Joe Biden will run for president and take on Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. The interview will be broadcast 60 Minutes live October 11th at 7:30 p.m.
That's tonight.
Yeah, here in a little bit.
Wow.
So you can DVR that and listen to that after the show.
Right.
So an excerpt from the 60 Minutes interview was broadcast this morning, and a transcript of that expert is below. So that would be you, Carrie. Letter C.
A year ago, when we did this interview, there was some saber rattling between the United States and Russia on the Ukrainian border. Now it's also going on in Syria. You said a year ago that the United States, America, leads. We're the indispensable nation. Mr. Putin seems to be challenging that leadership.
In what way? Let's think about this.
Well, he interrupts him.
Okay, folks, I am saying exactly
This is
what is
what's
written on the trans.
Yes.
Let. He says let 4 times.
He says, let, and then Steve Croft must interrupt him.
He had to have.
Well, he's moved troops into Syria, for one. He's got people on the ground. Two, the Russians are conducting military operations in the Middle East for the first time since World War II.
So that's
Bombing the people. That's what we're supporting. That's what that we are supporting.
so that's leading. Steve, let me ask you this question. When I came into office, Ukraine was governed by a corrupt ruler who was a stooge of Mr. Putin.
Right.
Syria was Russia's only ally in the region. And today, rather than being able to count on their support and maintain the base they had in Syria, which they've had for a long time, Mr. Putin now is devoting his own troops, his own military, just to barely hold together by a thread his sole ally. And in Ukraine?
He's challenging your leadership, Mr. President. He's challenging your leadership.
Well, Steve, I got to tell you, if you think that running your economy into the ground and having to send troops in order to prop up your only ally is leadership, then we got a different definition of leadership.
And that was the teaser for the 60 Minutes.
If you think that running your economy in the ground is leadership, he's projecting.
I was wondering who he's. It sounds like talking points against the GOP.
He's talking about him. Well, he's talking about what he's done
With
subconsciously. Right, he's projecting.
It doesn't matter whether he's saying it about Putin or the GOP. He's projecting.
So you're saying his international policy and his domestic policy and everything he does is all just attack. And use
It's
the
not
same
just attack.
It's same attack.
Pull
Same
the
accusations.
Pull the same ammunition out of the same box, no matter who it is. As long as we're against them, we got to. Let me go to the treasure chest and see what I can pull out of here to attack you with. And basically, the chest is full of sound bites that are written by liberal think tanks. And there you go.
Yes.
Whoa! If you think that running the economy in the ground, yeah, it's the same old think tank Democratic talking points, and nobody believes that crap anymore. Because now that we're in a 24-hour news cycle for all these years, people are listening to it, and when they hear it, the fourth or fifth or sixth time, they're like, "Oh, here we go again."
Right.
And let me contrast that with conservatives. Conservatives are talking about an idea that once you understand how it works, you can get behind, which is why when they pull out their chest of ideas, even if it's a repeat of something, it's something that everybody can get behind and say, hey, that works. I can agree with that.
Right. No, absolutely.
So
the Russian Air Force, in just a short week, has made more headway than I think Obama has made in his entire term, whichever one you want to count. They've made the Russian Air Force have made 67 trips, hitting 60 different targets in northern Syria in the last 24 hours, the Russian Ministry of Defense said. 2 commanders among the 300 fighters of ISIS killed in the raid.
I'd like Putin to pull out, go up to a camera, just walk up to it. I'm not talking, look all presidential. I mean, walk up to it, lean in towards the lens, point at it and say, that's how you do it, Barack, and drop the mic and walk out.
Throw the mic down.
Throw it down and walk out. And that's it. And
that's all you need to say.
And everybody will be like, wait. Are you going to still continue to bomb Syria? We were only in there to show you how it's done.
Right.
We don't even care about what's going on in Syria.
Not even a little bit. So among the targets hit include communication nodes, command post, fuel stock, terrorist training bases located at Raqqa, Laki, Ibil, Hama, and Aleppo, said Lieutenant General Igor at a briefing in Moscow. So, I mean, of course they could be lying. It's true. They could be lying that they did not hit any ISIS installation. It's true. They could be lying.
They could just be saying this.
However, with the authority of which they are saying it.
Oh, yeah. You got to own it.
And with, that's what the other thing they tweeted. He tweeted to the British authorities or whatever they put on there. They tweeted to him a picture of a Russian fighter jet bombing ISIS.
Yeah, but you could Photoshop that.
I know. I know. It's true. It's true. But that's pretty ballsy, though.
You don't even have to have good Photoshop. Have you guys seen the long form birth certificate? You don't even need good Photoshopping.
You could do that. I was going to say that you could do that overnight, but no, you could do that in a few minutes.
Well, I mean, if you know how to do the basics, just a couple minutes.
Yeah. So, real quick, the effect, the fallout, if you will, the effect that the media is claiming. Everybody's trying to pile on Russia right now.
It's not working. The public, the American public is like, damn, I wish we had a leader like that.
I wish we had, because they were showing a picture of Putin after all the bombings. You know what he did afterwards?
I don't know.
He doesn't play golf, by the way.
Okay.
He went and played hockey.
Oh, I saw that picture.
Did you see the picture?
Yeah. You know, I understand how manly he wants to be, but I mean, isn't he a little old to be succeeding in hockey?
Dude, I don't know, but let me tell you. So I think somebody put up the quote of the words. Imagine the guy that drives Putin into the wall.
Right.
He'd probably get a raise. Probably get put up higher command. You want people that are violent. You want people that are warriors.
Well, I think if you were to check Putin in a way that he could jump right back up and be like, and shake his head no, like the boxers do.
Yes.
And I think that that guy might get a pat on the back.
He might.
Yeah.
He might.
Because it ended up making Putin look really good.
Right.
Because he was able to shake that off.
Yep, I can see that. So, but the news media is trying to say, well, Russia's causing the fallout.
The fallout of what?
Chancellor Angela Merkel.
Chancellor?
So, do we have No, I just botched her name up. We don't have a name for her.
Angela Merkel? No.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's the race car driver lady.
Fiorina?
Ferrari.
Ferrari. You are the master of botching her name.
So Angela Merkel set the wheels in motion when she declared that she would welcome 1 million Muslim.
We're up to 1 million now?
1 million Muslim migrants after ISIS warned they would be sending over an army of fighters in a migration to Europe. It's called Al-Hijra, which is immigration jihad.
Oh, my gosh.
Obama said they would be welcome here as well. How long before this comes to our shores, America? Throughout history, the loss of a civilization could take well over a century or more. But Europe will disappear in the blink of an eye, just like that. Europe...
All of a sudden, you'll have the Ottoman Empire.
Right. Europe braces for the second wave, up to 3 million strong migrants after Russia's Syrian bombing. That was passed on to me from Pamela Geller, and originally written. There was a whole article written by Donna Edmonds, who writes for Breitbart.
So you're saying that the refugees are not going.
I'm reading
east.
into the tea leaves.
They're not going east.
No, they are not going to China
or Russia.
If you go to
India or any of that?
Well, if you go to Saudi Arabia, there's some problems.
Why is that?
You won't leave alive.
Why is that?
They'll kill you.
Why would they kill a Syrian refugee?
Oh, they don't want none. They said, don't you even think about coming over here.
Yeah, they're the ones that said, you know what? America needs to take more.
Right.
They need to take more.
They told
refugees.
Angela Merkel, they told her, said, yeah, Saudi Arabia, that's us. Yeah, we have billions of dollars. I'll tell you what, we'll help you take on all those refugees. You allowed us to build one mosque in every city you have.
One mosque for every 100 refugees?
Right, yeah.
Which is like 100,000 mosques now.
And we'll pay for them.
100,000. Is it 100,000? No, it's 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000.
Yeah.
So, and we'll pay for them. We'll even send our own.
They could easily afford it.
We'll send our own troops over to build those.
Where's that? The tallest building in the world now? Is it UAE or is it Dubai? Yeah,
Emirates?
It's so high that if you go to YouTube, you can see video from the top of it. It doesn't even look real. It does not even look real. But they got the money to do that kind of stuff.
Well, when you have taxi cabs that are Lamborghinis. Is it a taxi? Oh no, the police force taxi cab.
They have
the police department. No, look it up.
Their taxis are Lamborghinis.
Okay. No, they're old rust bucket 2-year-old Mercedes Benz. Taxi cabs.
That's a bucket.
Taxi cabs.
Yeah.
No, the police force drive around in Maseratis, Lamborghinis. I mean, you'll see. At first, you'll see it and you'll be like, "Oh, this is a joke." No,
it's real.
It's for real.
It's not like one of them show cars, like the Dare to keep kids off drugs. You know,
Why is that even real? Why are we even spending? Why are we spending $100,000 for a showpiece?
Well, no, that would just
department.
be. What I'm saying is, when you see that in America, it's one
showpiece
car.
Yeah, for the whole
saying
city.
That every car they have is a $200,000 car.
Oh yeah,
and they could afford it easily. They have cars, the leaders over there, the kings, princes, whatever they call them over there, they have cars whose bodies are made out of 24 karat gold.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's for the rust factor?
Well,
But they do live in a desert.
Corrode.
They do live in a desert, though.
No, I mean, but gold doesn't corrode, so that's why you do that.
Right.
It's salty over there. You got to make them out of gold.
Oh, jeez. While at the same time, U.S. counter-terror officials approached Toyota.
Oh, the Toyota story. Well, back up a little bit. So, what's up with the Toyotas?
Okay, well, you and I both joke about it all the time on this show.
Because we've gotten to the bottom of it, by the way.
And there is no... I mean,
This is the teaser right here.
It's not that it's a joke, but it's...
The Toyotas that have the brand spanking new Hilux Toyotas
Hilux.
has been solved. The mystery was,
Right.
how on earth does all these ISIS terrorists and Al-Qaeda, Taliban, how are they ending up with these brand spanking new Toyotas?
And
Where are they coming from?
And I never heard of a Hilux Toyota before, ever.
It might
I
only
drive I drive a truck. I can afford. And at
We
one
know
point in
about the
time,
Tacoma and the Tundra.
right, at one point in time, I was scouring for the greatest deal, the greatest truck ever. I was entertaining Toyota. It came down to Toyota and Ford. And I'll be honest
Could
with
have
you.
got one for free if you were willing to travel to the Middle East.
Correct. Correct. However, I wasn't willing to go that far. And to be honest with you, the Ford was cheaper. I couldn't afford the Toyota Tundra.
Well, if you really wanted to go cheap, you could have gone with a Dodge.
No, I don't know where to put that kind of rust.
Oh man!
So they have a HI-LUX, which is high-end luxury.
Okay, the article I saw didn't even have the dash. It was just HILUX.
Okay.
So anyway,
So it's a real high-end.
yeah. So well, if you look at up until recently, terrorists are driving around the desert in white 80s,
1980s, yeah.
maybe early 90s.
You remember the trucks where they at the back where it says Toyota, and people would scratch off the letters to where it
make
said
say
toy?
yo. No, it's a yo.
What they would do it both ways.
Okay.
One would be toy, and then when yo became popular,
Yeah.
it was yo.
Right, you could take the letters off and just so it says yo.
Yo.
So that's the kind of military vehicles that they have.
Right.
Makeshift military vehicles. So all of a sudden, just recently, all these new ISIS photos have them driving around in fleets of brand new Hilux.
And they're parading them around.
Right.
They're parading. They're like, look at what look at. But can you imagine going from a 1980s yo Toyota yo? It's a Toyota yo.
To a full leather interior.
Oh my! You've got sat nav. You've got Bluetooth. You've got Wi-Fi. Leather seats, fully heated, fully air conditioned, electric seats. The passenger seat is electric too. Heated seats. Everything is complete. I mean, it's the best of the best. And you know Toyota makes it the best of the best.
Definitely.
So, U.S. counter-terror officials approached Toyota, the world's second largest automaker, to help them determine how... I love this. They approached Toyota to help Toyota and help them determine how ISIS has managed to acquire a large number of Toyota pickup trucks and SUVs seen prominently in the terror group's propaganda videos in Iraq, Syria, and Libya, ABC News has learned.
Yeah, and Toyota was like, hey, we don't want our brand to be the face of terror. We'll help you out.
And they said they'll look into it too. However,
So guess what? What the conclusion was? They discovered that it was the United States that has been doing it. But before you think, what is going on here? It's not what you think. It's not like some guy, some traitor in the State Department or something like that is like, all right, guys, keep this on the DL, but we're going to start sending all these brand new trucks over there. They were originally trying to supply rebels through they would ask a
Syrian rebels.
right. They were trying to supply them with stuff that they need, and in particular, non-lethal support. And they're like, well, trucks aren't lethal, even though they end up outfitting them as military vehicles.
Right, so they shipped all these Hiluxes to the Syrian rebels,
Okay.
and for some reason, all the Syrian rebels accidentally, I guess, left all the keys in every single vehicle and just happened to not be there the day ISIS walked in. And they left a little thank you note. Thank you, Obama.
And so the thing I say is there's we don't know all the details.
There was no war. There's no guns fired.
Yeah,
no,
it's not
no
like
report.
they were taken by force.
Nope, no report of any of that.
It could be that the people that we were trying to give them to are just a bunch of cowards and ran off and left the Hiluxes behind, and ISIS came in and just took them over because they were there.
Oh, you mean like how they did all the Humvees and military American military equipment in the entire country of Iraq?
It could be that, or here's another theory. It could be that just through the bureaucracy of the American left's communist bureaucracy of America, they thought that they didn't know what they were doing, and they were just sitting there inadvertently without nobody really knowing what the heck is going on, supplying ISIS and not knowing it.
None of this makes sense.
So it could be one or the other. Do you have another theory that you could throw out there? I don't think that somebody was deviously trying to arm. I even tweeted. Do you know what I tweeted today?
Go ahead. Because I've got a soundbite from Obama. He commented on this.
Oh, my tweet was, I think we're in a proxy war with ourselves.
That's funny, because this is what Obama said.
All y'all.
That was his response.
That was his response. Oh. And then he went into a rant. Yes, that is him and all his ums. That was one.
Was that edited?
That was one speech.
Oh my goodness.
For like a 10-minute rant that he did. It was so bad. The ums were so bad that you could make an entire. Was that a riff or is that a hook? Yeah, you make an entire hook out of it. Unbelievable. So, right. And remembering you said something about North Korea, Iran, and Turkey in the news today. This all has to deal with that as well. Turkey said last week, told Putin, hey, you better watch yourself. Check yourself, fool, before you wreck yourself. That's what Turkey said to Putin. Said, you better stay out of our air. We don't need no airstrikes over here. Well, breaking news. At least 95 people have been killed and around 250 were wounded in the deadliest terror attack in Turkey's history ever, after two explosions targeted a peace rally in the center of the capital. Twin explosions outside Ankara's main train station on Saturday morning targeted hundreds of people who had gathered to protest against violence between authorities and the Kurdish militant group, the PKK. Turkish officials said the explosions were a terrorist attack. Oh, that's good. That's good that Turkey can come out right away and say, yeah, this was a terrorist attack. Carried out by suicide bombers, but no group has yet claimed the responsibility. The revised estimates are revised up to 97 dead. Figures likely to rise. On Saturday afternoon, the health minister said that 126 have been wounded, but that was later revised up to 245.
Wow.
They showed pictures, and then apparently the video of the initial explosion has made its rounds on the internet.
Ooh, I haven't even seen that.
Yeah.
I have to go ahead and look that up.
Yeah, it's out there. And then all the photos. I mean, think about this, folks. 95 people dead. And 250 with shrapnel wounds. Blood everywhere. The pictures that I saw were just horrendous. Flags and blankets and makeshift things and people. There's so many people and so much chaos. The ambulance couldn't get in.
I'm actually surprised. Turkey doesn't seem like what I would predict would be a target of that kind of terror.
Well, it was a peace target. Muslims are upset when you say the word peace.
Oh, you're saying it was moderate Muslims protesting the violent Muslims.
No.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying it was people protesting for peace. And
So it could've
Muslims just decided to go ahead. We got to squash this peace thing.
Yeah, peace is not the answer.
We got none of that. We got none of that. Oh,
Okay.
peace? Peace, you want peace? I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that.
Man. Wow. Whoa. All right.
So, right. So then we fast forward to Iran and North Korea. We've
Okay.
talked about this before. Iran and North Korea have pledged alliances to each other. North Korea this week showcased nuclear long-range missiles on state-run TV. North Korea on Saturday showed off what it said were long-range ballistic missiles carrying miniaturized nuclear warheads. Its latest claim to the sophisticated technology, which state television said could destroy enemies in a sea of fire. Rows of the intercontinental ballistic missiles known as KN-08, which some think could fly far enough to reach the continental U.S., were paraded through the Capitol as part of a massive military parade marking the 70th anniversary of the ruling Workers' Party. Experts say it's impossible to tell if they're real or not. 70 years of the Workers' ruling party.
Well, it goes back to the 50s, late 40s. The communism.
So they've been in power for 70 years?
Nothing has changed since the Korean
right.
War.
Yeah.
That was 1951, 2, and 3, I think.
Wow.
51 through 53.
Well, and if you've ever seen any of the videos of, there's a video of South Korea and North Korea right at the border, and there's guards, North Korean guards standing guard, and it's like dead silent.
Yeah. I did not, when I was in Korea, I had an opportunity to go to the demilitarized zone, but I decided to decline. A lot of my buddies went because you have to go in full uniform.
Right.
Because they want to show a military presence. You don't want to show up as a military person in civilian gear.
No. Because
that doesn't project your military presence when just some guys walking around in civvies.
Right.
Is what we called them. So I thought to myself, I don't want to get all dressed up for this.
Oh, gussy
so I
up.
didn't go.
Wow. Well, did they go in the brown uniform? Kerry was in the Marine Corps, by the way.
It would have been Service Alphas or Charlies. It depends. See, a lot of people don't realize this. We have several different dress uniforms or service uniforms.
Right.
And depending on the time of the year and whatever the command says, that's what you're required to wear. You can't just say, well, what looks better on me today, the Service Alphas or the Service Charlies? No. You
Whatever
have to wear.
The olive drab thing, I hate that.
Oh, I love it.
It's so not pretty.
It's so retro.
It's so not pretty.
It's fabulous.
It's not like the Air Force. They're dress blues.
We have dress blues.
Well, yeah, and those are pretty badass,
Yeah.
by the way. I mean,
But hold on.
But you don't get to wear those all the time, do you?
No. Dress blues are supposed to be for formal parties or formal ceremonies. And so you wouldn't just wear
Would that
them.
include holding an umbrella for Obama while it was misty out?
I think so.
Somebody said that was illegal for that Marine to hold that umbrella.
But it's the commander-in-chief ordering it. I mean, it's not an unlawful order, I don't think. I don't think that would be an unlawful. Hey, can you hold this for me?
It's disrespectful that he actually said that.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
How about the time he saluted getting off the
latte
helicopter? The latte salute. He's holding a Starbucks latte.
What the words that we use in the military to describe what Obama did and what he is because of what he did is not suitable for Family Hour
Smith Radio.
It's just not suitable. So, but I will tell you, it's an animal that flies, and it's a certain type.
Okay.
And it involves excrement.
Oh, right.
So anyway,
I've got the picture.
Yeah.
So nice. So while North Korea is showing off that they've got ICBMs, possibly outfitted with miniaturized nukes. I don't know how real that is, but at the same
you could easily make something
Right,
and
right.
say that it's real.
Well, at the same time, Iran has successfully test fired a new long-range surface-to-surface missile. Aired on state-run TV, reported on Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you this. I saw a show. It was like a 2-hour-long show about Werner von Braun and how he went from playing with model rockets and more serious rockets to being pretty much enlisted into Hitler's army to create weapons with his technology and all the testing that was involved in that, and then eventually leading to him having a successful V-2 rocket. Okay? The amount of testing and failure after failure after failure after failure, just I don't know if it's years, but
No, it was
months of nonstop
Right.
attempts and trying to figure it out. All that being said, if we don't know that North Korea is doing a lot of rocket testing, if we don't know that, I would have to take a wild stab and say their long-range ballistic missiles are just crap. Flat out.
Probably, unless they picked one up on the black market.
Well, you would recognize them. You'd say, ooh, looks like they picked up something from
I mean, so giving
Israel? I don't
it, whoa! So giving it a new paint job won't disguise
you'd have to weld a couple things on there to kind of disguise it, like a fin.
Say, but where did that antenna come from? What is that?
It looks kind of like this, but you know what? It has an antenna on it.
Why does
so
it?
it might be totally different.
Why does it look like that spaceship that they flew around in Spaceballs?
Oh wow, that's where they got their intelligence from. Oh, hey, you know that Kim Jong-il was a huge Hollywood fan.
Oh,
He's got a giant library of like every single Hollywood film ever made.
Except one,
Which one?
Team America.
Oh, he did not like that. What about the interview? Have you seen that?
I haven't, but boy,
I saw it at the
was
library.
He mad.
Oh, well, he was getting all kinds of death threats. The guy Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
He's the star of the movie, and I saw it in the library the other day, and I was holding it in my hand. I was like, "Nah, I'll see it some other time."
You know,
I should have
the
got
guys.
it.
No, the guys that had seen it said that no, it was a dud.
Really?
It was a bummer.
Yeah.
And the thing was, is the only reason why it got so much hype and it made so much money was because
He was getting death threats.
Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, lots
So,
of
so
death threats.
literally, he needs to thank Kim.
Yeah, because that was the only way they probably made their money back.
Hundreds of millions.
For an interview movie? I mean, come on. We could do that with some people up the street.
Right.
With
Apparently, it
and
was
a potato phone.
just find a Winnebago.
Oh, wait. Are we talking about Spaceballs again?
Do it out of a Winnebago. Well, we're going to do a blend of Spaceballs and the interview.
Oh, I see. It's a mashup.
That's a mashup. Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
So apparently, this rocket, this missile, is designed and built by the Iranian experts, is the country's first long-range missile that can be precision guided
Oh, what? I'm not buying this.
until it reaches its target.
So basically, whatever it hits, they'll be like, that's exactly what we were aiming for.
Said Brigadier General. Do they have Brigadier Generals? That's his title, Brigadier General Hossein Mandugahan.
So I'm Kim Jong-un.
Iranian's
You,
defense
over there.
minister.
You're Brigadier General now.
But doesn't America have brigadiers?
Yes, that's why I'm calling you Brigadier General.
Okay.
We have one now.
Okay.
They have one, we have one.
We need more.
By the way, Brigadier General is the lowest general
The
out
one
there.
star, right.
I always remember that. You know what the acronym was, wasn't it?
Be my little general.
Yeah. So 4-star is just
General.
Right.
Quote, to follow our defense programs, we don't ask permission from anyone, he said, according to the Iranian TV. The new rocket is capable of scrutinizing the targets and destroying them completely.
Maybe they're guided by like a suicide bomber in there.
Whoa!
Like, you know, I mean, they did it in Japan in World War II.
Well, you don't think... Well, with cell phone technology, you couldn't guide one with a cell phone? Weren't they guiding them with Xbox 360s and stuff?
Korea?
Yeah.
I'm not buying that.
When they first came out, they're like, man, this Xbox got so much technology, you got a missile with
That's
it.
called propaganda.
You remember that, though?
Released by, I do remember that. Microsoft was making all these crazy leaks about the power of their Xbox. And so, of course, that's how you generate buzz for your new product.
So North Korea bought millions.
I was wondering how Xbox hit their goal.
Yeah, because North Korea bought hundreds of millions. We will control every missile, one Xbox each.
Oh, man.
So improved accuracy. Anthony Gordsman, a researcher at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, wrote in October last year that the EMAD was a variant of Iran's existing Shahab-3 long-range missile. Quote, but with the maneuvering re-entry vehicle, I don't know what that means, to the improved systems, accuracy, and complicated missile defense, the liquid-propelled rocket had a range of 1,700 clicks, which is about 1,000 miles, and was accurate to within 500 meters. That's 1,600
plus or minus 1,000 miles.
What is 1,600 feet? That's pretty far off. I don't know.
Well, you're talking about a rocket that's going over 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
So to be within 1,600 feet,
that's not too bad.
Well, yeah. In fact, let me tell you about the accuracy of the Soviet Union nuclear missiles. The reason they had to make their bombs so huge, their biggest nuclear bombs were so much bigger than ours.
Look it up. The biggest ever.
The bomb czar thing, the Tsar bomb. The reason they were so big is because they really needed to destroy their target. And so let's say they were going to blow up, let's say Memphis. All right. So they would fire the missile over, and they might be off by as much as 10, 15, 20 miles.
Right.
So in order to compensate for being off by 20 miles, they had to destroy everything within a 20-mile radius.
Wow.
So they had to make these ginormous nuclear bombs because of how inaccurate they were. Because think about it, if, like an American nuke, if it had the capability of blowing up everything within, let's say, 5 miles radius, right, they could nail the center of the city. Right. And if everything within 5 miles is leveled, the city's done. It's over with. So they never made them much bigger. Why make them much bigger? You got the Russians' nukes off by as much as 20 miles. They had to make them huge in order to make sure that they destroyed target. Because if they were to miss a target, one of two things would happen. Number one, it would give people time a lot more people to escape. Number two, what if there were retaliation missiles within that target range? Let's say they were trying to hit a target that was full of nukes that could retaliate against the Russians. They needed to hit that the first time. You missed that, and they're launching all that, and then it's mutually assured destruction, and that's the end of it.
Okay, so nuclear weapons are rated in kilotons or megatons, and a megaton is a million tons of dynamite, TNT. So if you could imagine what a million tons of dynamite would be, that's an awful lot. So they're saying Little Boy, the one dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Little Boy and Fat Man, Little Boy yielded somewhere around 13 to 18 megatons. So that's 13 to 18 million tons of TNT. Fat Man was anywhere from 20 to 22 megatons, so 20 million tons of dynamite, TNT. The TSAR, T-S-A-R, or ZAR, Tsar bomb yielded 50 megatons. 50 megaton monster is what the Tsar. So the compare and contrast, Little Boy and Fat Man were
Big
around 20 million tons of TNT, 20 megatons. The Tsar was 50 megatons of TNT. So that's 50 million tons of TNT.
Is that really the comparison?
Yeah.
I thought it was bigger than that.
It's
I
the
thought it was
biggest ever.
I thought it was thousands of times bigger than the Hiroshima bomb. But I might be wrong about that. So anyway. But you can...
But it was far too big to ever be a practical weapon.
It's not the size of the mushroom cloud.
It's the weight of the gravity of... Okay.
It's just how much you destroy.
Exactly.
Anyway.
You've got to destroy everything.
Whew.
So they're saying that this rocket could carry 1,600 pounds of payload.
Well, if they don't demonstrate it, we're all just like, big yawn over here.
Again.
Yawn. No, you again? Okay.
So did you have something, did Stack, that you want to talk about?
Ben Carson. So in the news this week, Ben Carson was all over it. So we had the Oregon shooting.
Well, over a week and some change ago.
And I can't remember which one came first, but I'll just go over both of them. So Ben Carson said, what the people in the Oregon shooting could do, and anybody else who's in a mass shooting situation, school shooting, where they're unarmed, is rush the shooter.
Oh, like the Marine did, the U.S.
The service members
service
over in, and there was only 3 of them, and I shouldn't say there were 5 total. 2 of them I think were not service members that joined in, and they also did not want their name released for damn good reason.
Right. Well, and then at the latest school shooting in Oregon, there was a military veteran who charged. He pleaded with this guy.
Yeah,
charged him,
but he was the only one, so
What?
it didn't work. It's not effective. So my first, the first reaction to this was, you're blaming the victims for not rushing the shooter.
It's like kind of saying in the airplane that during 9/11 that landed in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, where they rushed them.
They bum rushed them.
Yeah, and even though they weren't successful, you sacrifice yourself. I'm sure they didn't want to. I'm sure that they were having hopes that
Right.
they would.
We'll tackle him. We'll get him down, and we'll right the plane.
Right.
That's
what they were
that's the
hoping.
end goal.
Right.
Didn't realize the ground was so close.
Well, even if it wasn't, I mean, imagine you got people in the cockpit that are realizing, oh, you want it to go down like this, all right, and then shoving.
We'll
the
take
stick.
you all down. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll hit something.
Right, and it's not going to take very long before you're on the ground. And even if you were to take over, and let's say you made it halfway to the ground, you got to right the plane before it does hit the ground. So,
Well, that and trying to pull up something like that.
Right,
It's
that's
not
bad.
a fighter jet. It's not like an
Right.
F-16 one pilot lawn dart.
okay, so the journalists, they've got it all wrong. First of all, it's not blaming the victims. It's saying, hey, this is what you should do. And, of course, there were other journalists that were saying, well, that's obviously the kind of bravery that we know that Ben Carson doesn't have and all that kind of stuff. So here's the thing. I was in the Marine Corps. I took Marine Corps combat training. I remember this very distinctly because it was so counterintuitive. We were trained that in an ambush situation, you move towards the ambush.
Right.
Okay. And I remember thinking to myself, what? Why would I do that? Are you guys nuts? Well, the reason is exactly what Ben Carson was saying. And I don't know if Ben Carson was told, hey, this is the way you do it, or if he just figured that out on his own. And let me tell you something, I would not be surprised, because he's a very, very brilliant man, that if he were to sit there and do a thought experiment in his head, that would probably be the best solution to that dire situation.
Right.
And yes, if the guy has the gun and he's shooting and he's trying to kill as many people as possible, if you run towards him, he's definitely going to get a couple people. But there's just no way he's going to be able to kill as many people. I'll tell you, we wouldn't do a thought experiment. Let's put ourselves in the shooter's position. Let's just say it's a video game. Kids are in this situation all the time. Millions of kids all over the country are in this situation thanks to video games.
Right.
They're all day long. There are kids who are in a simulated situation where their goal is to shoot as many people in a building as possible. It's called video games.
Right.
It's first-person shooters.
First-person shooter.
Yeah. So, okay, let's imagine ourselves, we're the shooter. We're trying to kill as many people as possible and be successful. Imagine if, all of a sudden, as you're trying to pick people off, 50 people are coming right at you. You have a gun with maximum 30 rounds. Maximum.
I always lose every time.
You would lose every time.
Right.
Now, you would be able to pick off quite a few. Maybe if you're really good, pick off a lot.
But if you
But
want
you're
to
not gonna
win,
make that. You're not going to win.
Right. If you want to win and you're those 50 people, you've got to, in unison, bum rush the shooter.
And hey, the statistics are on your side because if there's 50 of you, even if he has 30 rounds, he's not going to get all 30 rounds off.
And the hit that you may get
Might not be fatal.
No,
Might not be fatal.
That veteran, that military veteran, he got shot. What, 7? Was it 7
And he
times?
survived. Yeah.
He's kicking it in the back.
Right.
And not only that, there's also, they did a study back in the day when there was a lot of people would walk up to a car in the street, put a gun to the car, and jack the car.
Okay, yeah.
Carjackings.
Yeah.
They said guaranteed, almost 100% guaranteed, if you floor it, you will live.
Really?
And your
I would
car.
have never guessed that.
And your car.
That's news to me right there.
And when they did the study, they said that flooring it, you'll live because 99.9% of the time, the shooter, the guy with the gun, will not give his self away by firing at you.
Okay, I could
He's
buy
just going to
that.
wait for the next car.
I buy that. But if he does shoot, number one, the odds of you actually getting struck are a certain percentage.
Right.
The odds of that strike being fatal. Certain percentage.
Right.
I have
They
heard
s-
of people getting shot in the head, but here's why I would never have the bravery to do that, because I know that acceleration is not instantaneous. First, the engine revs up, and then you start to move forward. I mean,
you would have to, I would die.
tensing.
Yeah.
Officer tensing.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I mean, he was able to shoot that guy right in the head.
Yeah, but he wasn't trying to steal his car, though. He's trying to get him out to get the drugs in the back.
Oh, I thought he was trying to kill him.
Oh, no.
Anyway.
Well, they say that they do not have on record anybody that has driven off and sustained bullet wounds.
So everybody who did die, they didn't try to drive off.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's just the whole theory kind of goes against the opposite way of you thinking.
Well, if you've seen the movie Menace to Society, you get in the car and then you shoot the guy in the head and you go somewhere to clean it up.
Right.
That's what they do in Menace to Society. At least that's the way I remember
Drinking.
it. It was the guy, he stole a...
Don't be a menace to society while drinking your juice in the hood.
not that movie. That was the parody of it. Don't be... I can't believe you remember the whole title of that. So here's where everybody's getting it wrong, including Ben Carson. I'm going to go ahead and criticize him here. Okay, breaking news from your Marine Corps veteran right here. So the only way rushing or moving towards an ambush works is if everybody does it. And the only way everybody does it is through training.
Right.
So unless you're willing, and I believe me, I'm willing to do this, but unless you're willing to train all of our children, and especially college-age kids, adults, whatever you want to call them,
Right.
to, hey, this is what you do when the shooter comes in. All of you guys, all in unison, have to just sprint right towards him. Unless you can get everybody trained on that, it's kind of a risky proposition. Imagine you're in a room with 50 people and you remember, what did Ben Carson say to do? Ben Carson said to rush him. If you're the only one to do it, it's going to fail.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so,
Right.
So
You gotta have
That's
training.
why Ben Carson was a little bit off. I do 100% agree with him. If everybody in unison bum rushes them and they're trained to do that, yes, they will thwart the attack. Very minimal casualties, probably the minimum possible, And so Ben Carson's right. But if you don't have training to do that, and I mean everybody has to be trained to do that, then it's not going to work very well. In the Marines, we were all trained, hey, what do you do in an ambush? When you're in an ambush, when you move right towards the ambush. Because if you don't, you're all dead.
Right.
Because the gut reaction is to run away from it. They will kill everybody in your unit. They will pot shot you, just pick you off as you're running away.
The cure for the violence of evil men is the righteous violence in return.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty
I like
cool.
That. I like
that's
that
pretty
saying.
cool.
Okay.
From rangerup.com. Good for them.
Okay.
Hey, so along these lines, Sheriff Clark from Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. For those of you Wayne's World fans.
He makes the rounds on Fox News. He's a contributor and a go-to guy. Has 4 stars. I don't know what that means.
What?
On his shoulder, on his.
Did you say he was a sheriff?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to have a.
Why do they have stars?
Well, the star is like a tradition.
Okay, so sheriff's calling right now. Gives a heads up. He said, "quote If Obama wants to disarm the people, he should start with his security staff."
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so we'll get to the gun control thing. So Ben Carson was asked to respond to gun control as a means to solve the problem we have of mass shootings. And so Ben Carson said that if you look at the Oregon shooting and compare, you got this mass shootings, he compared it to removing the guns from the people is not a good thing.
Right.
And that they need to protect themselves, and went on to compare. He said that in the Holocaust, back in World War II, it would have been the lives lost would have been greatly diminished if Jews had been armed, or in particular Europeans.
I agree 100%.
Do you?
I agree 100%.
It caused a firestorm in the media. Now that here's the response. Believe me, they try. They try so hard. So the response that the journalists were giving to try to counter his Holocaust thing was that the small number of personal firearms available to Germany's Jews in 1938 could in no way have stopped the totalitarian power of the Nazi Germany state. Where's the problem in that? I got it right on the top of my head. Bust him. Bust him. What do you got? What's wrong?
Say it again.
Okay, so Ben Carson said if they all were able to have their guns, and they were disarmed by Nazis in 1938, if they were armed, this is what Ben Carson said, that the Holocaust would have been greatly diminished if Europeans were armed. And the response was, the small number of personal firearms available to Germany's Jews in 1938 could in no way have stopped the totalitarian power of the Nazi German state.
See, because
what's wrong with that?
Because
should I hum the theme to Jeopardy?
Well, I'm thinking me in America today. And I need to be thinking about them back in the 30s. Mm-hmm. I don't know the arsenal that was available to them back then, or if there even was one.
Let's say you did know that they didn't have very many guns available, or I should say that that when they disarmed all the Jews, it really wasn't even that many guns anyway. So if they didn't disarm them and they still had the guns that they had, they still wouldn't have been. So what's the problem with that?
Yeah. I don't know. What's the problem?
The problem is why did they have so few arms in the first place? They should have more arms.
That is the problem.
Yeah,
that is the number one problem.
So the solution is that they should have had more weapons to defend themselves.
I don't know if I said this last week, but I'll say it again. On the list of countries that have the highest rates of gun murders and killings, the top of the list is a country that has banned all guns. in the entire country. It is absolutely 100% illegal for anybody to have a gun,
Practically gun free.
and they have the highest rate of murder by gun.
By gun.
Right.
So there's guns in the hands of criminals, apparently.
The lowest country, the country at the very last, the bottom of the list, the lowest rate of gun deaths, murder, attacks, whatever, Switzerland.
Well, yeah, but they're a neutral country.
No, yeah, right. The government mandates that everyone have a gun. If you buy a home in Switzerland, by law, you must outfit that home with a gun.
Well, that's just that's totalitarian. Force people to do stuff. What if I don't want to have a gun? That's like forcing health care on me.
Guns.
I gotta have health care.
Guns scare me. I get so scared.
No, seriously though, that is kind of interesting. We're all up in arms about forcing people to purchase health care. So what if we force people to purchase guns? Isn't that the same thing? Isn't that like lobby? That's like the gun lobbyist saying, "Hey, let's pass a law forcing people to buy guns. That way we'll do well in business because we'll be selling a lot of guns."
Wow.
I never really thought of it that way, but in a really weird, twisted way, that's kind of the same thing.
It is.
We have a business that produces a product or service, and we're having a law passed that forces them to do business with those businesses. It's almost like corruption. But look, if everybody owning a weapon is going to reduce crime, I mean, hey, what are you going to do?
Right. No, without a doubt, if you want to cure a problem that we have, if you want to help cure that problem, there's only one answer, and it's been proven over and over, again and again and again. Matter of fact, if you want, I've got some sound clips, and we can segue right into Oregon.
Well, before we do that, let me throw this
ahead.
one.
Sorry,
Somebody said, Babe Ruth, this was on talk radio. I think it might have been Mark Stein said that a brilliant liberal argued to him that if Babe Ruth didn't have a bat, he would have never been able to hit all those home runs.
And that's true.
Okay, so take the bat away from him.
Right, then he can't hit the home runs.
Right. So that's the argument for gun control.
What the... wow. Hold the phone.
You know what really grinds my gears?
None of this makes sense.
That's what grinds my gears.
Well,
none of this makes sense.
There was some brilliant caller called in and said, yeah, but you know what? Without Babe Ruth, those bats wouldn't have been able to hit all those home runs.
Yes. Oh, wow. So check this out. You've probably already heard this already, but Obama, we played clips of him last week after the mass shooting. Mm-hmm. Obama said, hey, sometimes it's political, sometimes I need to make it political. So we're going to politicize the political stuff and make it all political.
He responded to me. It was almost as if he knew it was going to happen.
Did you get the call yet? Did you get the call? You got the call?
What about that picture that you posted up on Facebook?
How many more mass shootings do I have to orchestrate before I can take all their damn guns away?
So, yeah, it's a picture of Obama at a rally.
Screaming with his hands in the air.
With a microphone in his hand, and he's screaming into the microphone, and the caption says, how many more mass shootings do I have to orchestrate in order to get my gun control?
Right.
Wow. That was a tragically hilarious
But the thing about humor, what makes it funny is that there is an element of truth to it.
Well, that definitely wrinkled the tinfoil.
Right. So, well, wrinkling that hat, I don't know how much credibility I lend to this knucklehead, but you remember Steven Seagal?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear him this week?
No, I did not hear him in the news. What did he do?
He said he thinks these mass shootings are orchestrated.
Maybe he came out with that meme.
Maybe he started that meme.
He's at his computer typing away. Like Steven Seagal's like, I'll send the message.
I know I'm too heavy to get my leg up over my waist anymore, but I'll get back at them on Facebook. I'm gonna Facebook this. I'm gonna get them on the Facebook. We'll get you. I know they can see me. I'm Steven Seagal. I'm Billy Bad.
So what did he say?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, That's what he said?
He said no. He said he thinks they're orchestrated. Mass murders are orchestrated. So hey,
By who, though? By who?
The government.
The Obama-led administration.
Right.
So is he a conservative?
Sure.
Okay. I was going to say, I think all 80s era action movie stars,
Dude.
a lot of them end up back in the 80s, relatively speaking, because of the way the world was, especially America. Back in the 80s, they would have been considered, they're just Hollywood liberals.
Right.
But now they're older, and they are what they were in the 80s. But relative to the communism that has completely taken over our country, they're like, dude, what the hell? I'm to the right of all this crap.
Right. Right.
So I could see that.
Guess what movie I watched Friday night? I had the kids with me, the girls. Put the boy.
So it had to be something
boy to
rated
bed.
G. It's like rated G, right?
Oh, it's so hard to find one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, one that I want to watch. See, I've got to split the difference and deal with. As long as there's no sex scenes, I can pretty much deal with just about anything.
Okay.
Harsh language has got to tone it down a little bit. But I pulled an oldies but goodies out. Eddie Murphy in The Golden Child.
Eddie Murphy has got the biggest potty mouth ever.
The Golden Child was different.
Was it like a G-rated or PG? Like not as much
13, PG-13. Said a lot of S words and
I was going to say
ASS. He said,
I let my daughter watch Delirious.
No, you didn't.
And then Raw.
No, you know. Oh my God.
No, those movies actually destroyed my childhood.
Yeah, me
Talk
too.
about growing up fast.
Real fast.
Yeah.
No, he said a lot about kiss my ASS, and the girls would be like, "Oh, he said kiss my butt." I'm like, "There you
Right.
go, girls. There you go." But the movie, I did not realize that this movie was really all about good and evil
Okay.
and how good will win.
You know what? They did that back in the
The
late
good
80s.
one.
Yeah.
And the guy turned the guy that was trying to kill the golden child by making him drink blood and all this other stuff. He trying to find a dagger. And then my daughter's like, "Hey, Daddy, that sounds like Donkey."
Oh, right. From Shrek.
I said, that's
That
Donkey
is
from
Donkey.
Shrek."
Yeah.
She's like, "Okay, I'm going to call him Donkey." I said, "No, probably I'll call him Eddie." That's his
Yeah,
name.
don't call
Eddie.
him Donkey
Don't call
into
him
his
Donkey.
face.
No.
If you ever meet him, I bet you he has
Ned-
a lot of kids that call him Donkey.
Oh, like Ned Beatty.
Oh, what do they call him?
Squeal,
Squeal like a pig, squeal like a pig.
sweet. Yeah, it'd be rough.
I'm going to have to say, if I ever meet him, Ned, or I'm sorry, not Ned. Piggy.
Pig. Oh,
Piggy.
Hey, Piggy. Come here, Piggy.
No, I'm going to see him from far away in a really crowded room. And, you know, all people be kind of milling around. Everybody will know he's there because he's famous.
Right, Ned.
And I'm going to say, from really far away, squeal like a pig. I'll bet you I get the biggest laugh out of that.
It depends. If you're in Hollywood,
Ooh.
you would get daggers.
Yeah.
Eye daggers.
Just eye daggers.
Yeah, eye
They're
daggers.
unarmed there. They're
Because it's not legal to have a dagger in their mind.
Or is it?
In their mind.
mind. They all have one. They just can't show it.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Hey, by the way, anybody out there, the call-in line is 772-49-SMITH. That's MYTH.
Oh, right, because
And if-
everybody complained that we didn't get the number.
No. And if you have possession of or have the knowledge of a switchblade, or the original,
I have a little bit. Why?
not a switchblade, but the button where you
Yeah.
push it up blade.
Mhm. Oh, I don't even know. Is that
From the movies back in the 50s and 60s.
well? The switchblades I've seen are the ones that flip out.
Okay, no,
they're
not the-
spring loaded.
This one shoots straight out.
Yeah, I've never had one of those.
Okay, they banned them. They made them illegal
Okay.
during the greaser days.
Right,
They made
okay.
them illegal.
switchblades too.
But how is that illegal? By
Well,
what cause?
because here's the thing.
How is a knife in any form or fashion? How is a knife? A knife is a knife is a knife. How is a knife an illegal weapon?
Well, if you look at the Second Amendment,
It's not illegal.
yeah, there's this belief that the Second Amendment protects your right to own a firearm, but it doesn't say firearm. It says bear arms. And if you look up the definition of arms in the dictionary, the proper dictionary anyway, it actually encompasses any kind of a weapon, including knives.
Right.
So when you have a knife and somebody says Second Amendment doesn't protect that, well, actually it does.
Sorry.
You better bust out a dictionary in order to realize your value.
Can't do that. Just stuck you.
Oh. But it's
Go for the jugular.
you got to do it only under protection.
Get hit the neck.
There is no law against murder.
Whoa! Oh, is that the Purge night?
No. I was just going to say I was in Planned Parenthood, so...
Oh, wow.
All right.
Did you see that meme?
No, which one? I may have. I don't know.
They were in front of a Planned Parenthood a building, and they were
Okay.
holding up signs. Particularly, I mean, they did it on purpose.
Okay.
Lives don't matter here.
Oh, that's a good one. Was the actual photograph? Or
Yeah,
drawing?
it was a photograph.
Lives don't matter.
Right.
Was
right.
it photoshopped, or was somebody actually there?
I wish. I'm in my mind they were there.
They should be.
Yeah.
If I was protesting Planned Parenthood with all this big stink about Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, I would definitely be in front of there with a Lives Don't Matter.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
So Obama's heading to Oregon to land on this small town,
Descend on.
descend on this town to politicize and propagate the propaganda of the propheside. He's there to push his agenda, which he is doing everywhere.
You can't let a crisis go to waste.
So they started handing out these little cards, and apparently I didn't get mine because I'd have showed up. And on the card that they passed around, it said, "The Anointed One, His Majesty King Obama, and the White House have announced a Friday arrival in Rosenberg, Oregon, in the wake of October 1st horrific tragedy at UCC. Polarizing as usual, Mr. Obama has insisted on politicizing the event as a conduit for his increased executive orders on gun control via means of his pen and his cell phone. This blatant disrespect of the victims' families, the community, and the town of Rosenberg, Mr. Obama's administration is flying not just the 747 that is Air Force One to Oregon, but a 3-helicopter team of Ciroc Skies, I don't know what that is, that made up HMX-1, known as Marine One, to travel to Rosenberg at taxpayers' expense. We need a lot of people. Please come show your support for Rosenberg, not the little man who has no respect for the Constitution."
Interesting. So they wanted people from outside
They had a protest.
to come in and protest Obama being there.
They had a protest. They were holding up signs that said, "Obama, go home." People were saying, "Obama, go back to Kenya.
It is an
Go back to DC."
absolute disrespect to the whole situation, the families, the victims, and all that. For him to handle it the way he did, it was like he's like dropped everything to sprint, a dead sprint. Pardon the pun. To Oregon on his part.
Well, this
in
went
order
down
to
on a-
capitalize on a tragedy.
Went down October 1st, which was a Thursday, when the shootings went down on Thursday. So the following Friday, 8 days later, he orchestrates an entire entourage to descend on that town.
In order to say, I know my opponents are going to say that I'm just trying to politicize this. Well, I'm just telling you that I'm not politicizing it because I am politicizing it. And I know they're going to say that and it's going to stick. So I'm just going to go ahead and preempt what they're going to accuse me of successfully by saying I'm not politicizing this.
Sometimes it needs to be politicized.
Oh, he did say that.
He did say it.
Well, you know what? I know you're going to say I'm politicizing. Well, I am. I'm politicizing.
Now the cat's out the bag.
Now try to accuse me of it now. I just said I was.
So they interviewed a local, I guess he was a news reporter. So there's the interview, and then the resident speaks back. It's about 2 minutes long, but it's absolutely critical that you hear this man speak about his town and this district in Rosenberg before Obama arrives.
We're talking to David Jakes, the publisher of the Roseburg Beacon newspaper. And David, How do you feel? There's been rumors that President Obama might be coming to town. How do you feel about that?
Lee, I think that's very inappropriate, and I think it's disrespectful to the families. The fact is, the president has no connection with this community. He has no connection with any of the families, and he made it abundantly clearly in his opening press statement. Just, we haven't even identified bodies. We've still got Incident Command trying to contain the scene, and he's holding a press conference 3,000 miles from here, telling us that almost implying that he single-handedly could have prevented this if the Congress would have listened to him.
Okay. Before I go on, I just want you to digest. That was it's only 43 seconds of a 2-minute clip. We still got a lot more to go.
He dropped TNT on that. I mean, if he didn't have that lock, stock, and barrel on the top of his head ready to unload that, I'm just really impressed.
Now, you got to understand, though, he's a journalist.
The guy responding?
Yes.
Okay.
He's of the local Beacon.
Okay.
So you have to know that he
had something prepared in his head, at least.
At least prepared in his head, and that he's articulate. Maybe.
Okay.
And the pictures I've seen, he looked fairly clean.
Clean and articulate.
Articulate and clean. Right. Okay.
And so he said in that speech that people are going to accuse me of politicizing this event, and frankly, it needs politicizing. So I think he admitted it himself. So his visit here isn't a re-election campaign stop, but it is a campaign stop nonetheless for an agenda that he and his associates believe is important, and that is to take away Americans' right to own firearms. And I think, Lee, that it shows not only a total disdain and disregard for our Constitution, but our very citizens, and especially those of us right here in Douglas County. We believe in the Second Amendment. We believe in the whole Constitution.
Yeah, and so just for people who aren't aware of this part of Oregon, this is a strong Second Amendment area. John Hanlon, the sheriff, came out after Sandy Hook and did a really strong, well-written letter, I thought, not just against gun control, but really, pro-Second Amendment.
Well, he is pro-Second Amendment, Lee, and the fact is we're very proud of our sheriff. He's basically put the administration on notice that if you pass any laws or edicts or executive orders that are either unconstitutional or extra-constitutional, they will not be enforced in Douglas County.
They won't be
enforced. We're proud of that. That's the kind of sheriff we elected overwhelmingly. He got like 68% of the vote. And I think he'll get higher numbers on this reelect. This is the heart of this county. We love America, and we believe in the foundational principles that made this country great.
Wow. Thanks. That guy is awesome.
Slamming down.
That's how every single press conference about all the crap, all these communist America that are in charge and doing this Saul Alinsky crap, that's how it should be responded to every single time.
Hands down. There's no question about it. It's just unbelievable that he's going to do what he does, and we're never shocked by what he does.
But I think we're shocked. It's getting more and more brazen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think what I'm shocked about is that nobody is doing anything about it. I mean, when I say nobody, no elected official is doing anything about it. The only person that I ever see do anything about it, her name is Debbie. She lives down in Kentucky. She refuses to issue marriage licenses.
Right.
Or Kim Davis. Kim Davis.
Right. And
she's the only one. Who else is doing anything?
And she reluctantly gave in for the most part by allowing her workers that are her subordinates that work for her, allow them to sign marriage licenses on her behalf. And we're getting off on a tangent a little bit,
but no, that's my whole thing though. Who else out there is standing up against this regime?
Well, at least he's doing it verbally, right. And I think that if everybody is honest about the truth of American founding, and also, frankly, you should be honest about your hatred of America if you're Obama or somebody that's like Obama or a communist in general. Just flat out say, look, we don't like the Constitution. We think that it's wrong and we want to rewrite it. And we're going to do what we can to rewrite it, including descending on a poor little town that's been devastated by a mass shooting in order to politicize our communist agenda.
unconscionable.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Never let a crisis go to waste. So
Even if they have to defecate on the honor of the fallen victims.
Before we go, I've got a clip about Mark Levin impeachment.
Yeah.
A caller called in earlier, and I just bring this up because this clip was Mark Rosenberg, part of this. The caller called in and started talking about impeachment, and then Mark Levin took over, and this is how he said what he said.
Impeachment, and I'm going to tell you, Obama's about to use an executive order again to change the Second Amendment, and I've had enough of this. We need to use the I word. We need to say it's impeachable offense. And we need to start laying down barriers now. Enough is enough. The IRS is out of control. Every department of this government, the EPA, the Justice Department, they're all on the loose. They're all rogue. Starts from the top. It's getting worse. Hillary Clinton's running around saying, I'm going to outdo Obama. I'll govern by more executive orders and fiats. We've lost the country. Is it too much to ask for the Republican Party to grow a set? I'll be right back.
I like it. I expect nothing less of Mark Levin. I have an enormous amount of respect for him because he sticks to the Constitution, and he knows the context of the Constitution. He wrote the book Ameritopia, which basically gives the entire context of the American founding and explains to the reader the nature of communism.
Right.
And the history of it, all the way back to Plato.
Now, I want to do a little something here, and I know communism, dictatorship, and those kind of things. You've got ISIS. How do you lump them all together? I want to try and see if we can't weave this and help you understand, because we've got liberals screaming that Nazis, Hitler, neo-Nazi, shaved heads, KKK, that's all such right-wing extremist. Right-wing extremist. Which it's not completely not.
Well, you could easily make I don't think there's ever been a Republican in history that's had any involvement with the KKK.
Right.
I think that would be all Democrats from the get-go. Right. All the way up until to this day, I would say the KKK is pretty much, if you meet somebody and they say they're in the KKK, it's probably some group that was thrown together that really doesn't have a direct lineage to the real KKK, which was like that turn of the 20th century terrorist group that was just trying to, the Democrats.
I've run across I've run across people that may or may not have been. That
involved in some sort of group that they would label the KKK.
Right.
Because you see,
they were just some ignorant backwoods.
Of course.
They got summer teeth.
Summer teeth. Is that opposed to winter teeth?
No. Summer teeth. Some are here, some are there, some are black, some are white, some are missing.
Oh my god.
Some are
summer teeth. Okay.
Some are half out, some are half in.
Oh my god. So I look at anybody that claims they're in the KKK today as far as their connection to what the KKK really was in history, the same way as I look at what people call neo-Nazi today and their connection to Hitler's Nazi. There's no connection. It's basically people that look at a historic idea and say, yeah, let's run with that. That's pretty much all it is.
Right.
So, but as far as Islamic terrorism, is that, that people say that that's right because it's religious?
Right.
I look, they're fascists. And I don't look at, and I may be in the minority here, but I look at any kind of fascist oppression as being a part of, I'm not saying, okay, these guys are right and these guys are lefts. I'm going to look at a different dichotomy. I'm going to say these people want to control other people.
Okay, yes.
And these people want individuals to be free.
Regardless of their religion, regardless of their color, regardless of anything.
You could be an atheist. Right. You could be an atheist. You could be a moderate Muslim or whatever.
Like Penn and Teller? Penn?
Oh, yeah. Total atheist libertarians.
And says that I agree with freedom.
Yeah, total individual freedom. So I put those people in one camp. And honestly, I like to think of myself as a right-wing conservative libertarian. So I would put myself in that camp. If you look at people like Hitler and people who supported him.
Mao Zedong.
Okay, which was a communist, and also Stalin, Lenin, all the communists, and all the Islamists, which are the ones that think that the entire world should be part of a caliphate, and you should all live under Sharia law. All that is under the banner of controlling other people.
Right.
So you have to choose. Do you want to support an ideology? And it could be, here's the weird thing. The ideology of individual freedom, really, there's no different groups of people that believe in individual freedom. It all falls into one camp.
Okay.
The other side, which is controlling people, there's so many different ways to do it.
So what I think that I can see going on here is that what the liberal, communist, Democrat control freaks, what the controlling party wants, they want you to be confused as to what is and what isn't.
Right.
And there's all these different facts. Oh, we got nothing to do with none of those people. We're here to help the children.
Well, and there's some people that would say, who would want to be controlled? I think there is a large population of people out there that think, they would never say, not me, but we need people in charge micromanaging because there's crazies out there and they need to be micromanaged.
Did you read ahead on the next?
No, I didn't actually.
Dude, that's a segue. Check this out.
Really?
Are you
Okay.
ready for your hair to stand up on the back of
All
your neck?
right, let's hear it.
Well, there was a book that was published a few years back, and the book was called He's Back, Hitler.
Ooh, okay.
Right. It's a bestseller,
Really?
if you
Okay.
will, published about 3 years ago. In it,
So it's not even new.
no, it's 3 years old. Right.
all right.
In it, Hitler comes back to life, and he's baffled to find himself as a multicultural German-led. Find himself in a multicultural German led by a woman chancellor, Angela Merkel.
Okay.
Discovers TV chefs, Wikipedia, and that Poland still exists, and ends up as a small screen actor star. That's the book.
So it's a fiction, and it's kind of like a what if
Right.
Hitler were to be resurrected and see what the world is like in 2015. Or actually, if it's 3 years old, 2012.
So somebody decided to make this into a movie.
Oh, really? Really? I'm actually intrigued now. I really want to see this thing.
Hitler, He's Back.
That's the name of the movie?
Correct.
When's it come out? I'm actually really curious.
It's a half movie, half documentary mix.
Okay.
Kind of a weird thing. If they can stitch it together, cool, good for them. But it's a tall task, and maybe too tall of a task and too much money needed to stitch it correctly. We'll see. But Oliver Masucci, which is a German guy, was playing the murderous dictator for the film. So he plays Hitler. Included in the movie is an unscripted documentary-style scenes filmed on the streets of Germany.
Okay.
So he dresses up like Hitler.
And it's present. This isn't a period piece. This is present day.
Present day.
Okay. All right.
Let me see if I can.
Now, does he dress in the actual, what he wore back then, or is he dressed in modern clothes? Don't tell me he's walking around with the swastika and the military-looking suit and the hat and everything. Don't tell me that. Okay, so Brian's showing me a picture of it. It looks exactly like Hitler did back in the 40s, except he's wearing a London fog trench coat and a black three-piece suit with a black tie. Okay. Oh, you have another.
Now he's in military garb. This is civilians. Look at these people on the streets.
They've got to be like, what on earth?
Well,
just in the filming. Those are extras, though, right?
They're saying they're not.
Why would he wear the hat that he wore in the 40s? I'd be like, Hitler, before we go outside,
You gotta put that hat back.
first, let's go ahead and give you a shave, including shaving your mustache.
Right. We gotta get that original stash, that choo-choo thing back.
We need to take it off.
Oh!
Yes!
Oh, don't
We gotta go incognito.
clean up here, buddy.
Yes, you don't leave the Hitler stash.
They might
Or
kill
is it
you.
the Charlie Chaplin?
They
I
might-
think it was called the Chaplin.
Right. They probably said, hey, they might kill you. And he says to them, I'll take my chances. So here's what happened. But the film goes a step further than the novel. It intercepts the action with real-life documentary footage, including footage of people welcoming back the desperate mass murderer with open arms.
Wait a minute. You're telling me they're doing actual
On the street interviews.
on-street interviews.
Quote, this is from the actor, quote, they made me feel like a pop star, which horrified me. People clustered around me. One told me she loved me.
So this was reality TV. This was not a bunch of extras.
It's 100% real. One told me she loved me. I got a lot of hugs, selfies, and kisses.
Because you do realize that if somebody did that as a spoof, they would probably be arrested in Germany, because I don't think you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to... you can't display a Nazi flag in Germany. You will go to jail, period. It's not like America where you have the freedom of speech, freedom of expression.
Right.
You will go to jail if you wave a Nazi flag.
Right.
And so he's walking around in the full military...
Garb.
Yeah.
Gear.
It looked like a London fog, but let me tell you something. When you wear and by the way, if you don't know what a London fog is, it's the Inspector Gadget trench coat.
Or the trench coat that you would use if, the flashers.
Oh,
back in the 70s. Back in the 70s, the
So
free love flashers.
Very popular with the flashers in the New York City subways.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the London fog.
So for those of you in New York, you know what we're talking about.
It's a London
clearly.
fog. Right. Or if you're our age, you remember Inspector Gadget, the cartoon, whatever. So yeah, so he's walking around in that, which probably wouldn't mean much. But when you wear the hat, I wish I remember the name that's given to the hat that has the big circle on top. The military.
In the Air Force, we had one like that.
Oh, I think every branch.
Okay,
every branch.
we called it the bus driver hat.
Okay. The bus driver.
See, nobody wanted to wear it.
No, but
then nobody really wanted to wear it.
Stow it away.
Right, and nobody really wanted to wear the envelope hat, which we had.
We had an envelope hat.
And we had a word for that too.
What was that?
Well,
Oh, you couldn't say it
we'll
on
have,
the air.
we'll have to talk about that another time.
Wow. Okay, well, you mean off the air.
Right.
Oh, we just teased everybody.
It had to do with
Because I don't even remember. Okay.
yeah. So that's why I didn't say it.
Okay. We just, everybody's like, what? Well, you could call in and we'll go off the air.
I'll let you know. You call at 772-49 Smith. SMYTH.
You need to do what they do on other shows. They say the word and then they say the numbers.
Okay, you say the numbers after I say it.
Let me look it up.
See, so that's why I didn't do it.
You need to write it down.
Well, you're calling me out.
I know. I called you out several times this one. You love our show prep, huh?
Exactly. Okay, so he's getting a lot of selfies, getting a lot of hugs and kisses. Older people began pouring their hearts out to me,
Older people? I'm surprised.
often voicing extremist views.
They want a Hitler back.
Yes, bring back labor camps, one person said to the dictator. During the shooting, I realized I didn't really have to perform.
Well, you have to at least play Hitler, right?
People felt a need to talk. They wanted to pour their hearts out to a fatherly Hitler who was listening to them. I found it disturbing how quickly I could win the people over. I mean, they were talking to Hitler.
Well, because right, okay. So he did a good job of playing the role.
The method actor.
Yeah, he's doing method acting.
Just like
'Cause you
that.
can't. Here's the problem
Like
I have.
Marlon Brando.
You have to strike a balance, though, because the real Hitler. Let's say you could, exhume his body.
He'd have
and-
no tolerance for any of these people, any of these peasants. and these peons.
No. I'm not saying no. He was a people's person.
So he would walk the people like this?
Well, you see when he's shaking hands with the Hitler's Youth and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's that. No, what I'm saying is he has to strike a balance between playing Hitler and pulling it off convincingly and not actually saying something that's motivating. You don't want to motivate the people. Whereas a real Hitler, the actual real Hitler, might actually start to try to rally people right then and there.
Oh, yeah, he's like, I'm back. Come on, boys, let's get this thing together again.
I'm doing a rally tonight.
We,
Yeah, so
we got a new lease on life.
Oh,
so
that is shocking.
Film cast uncomfortable light on tensions and growing support for right-wing extremism in Germany.
Why right wing? I don't know. And let me tell you something. Everybody listening who isn't really up to date on the political history of Europe back then, there were two parties. There was left and all the way left. Those were the two parties. It was a huge fight in Germany when Hitler was coming up through the ranks between the socialists and the communists. Last week, we talked, or was it 2 weeks ago? We talked all about what the difference is between socialism and communism. And my theory is, and my position is, there's no such thing.
A lot of our positions are. Even Rush Limbaugh spouts this all the time.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a socialist. I think I'm the only one on the radio saying that.
No, I think Russia said it.
He said there's no such thing as a socialist. That's
no. You're
That's
correct.
my thing.
You're correct.
Yeah,
and we both agree on that. And I don't think I've heard anybody say that.
Yeah, I think that we have the exclusive on there's no such thing as a socialist. But let's just play make believe and say that there is such thing as a party of socialism.
Because it's the party bus that'll take you to communism.
It's a party
bus.
Oh, you're in the socialist party. Well, load on up.
Get
We're
up on the
leaving.
Greyhound.
We are going full speed
to utopia.
There you go. And so, now some would say they're national socialists.
That's what he called themselves.
Right.
Hitler called himself
and
national
let me make
socialist.
the distinction. If you've heard of a communist, it's somebody that wants to go communism. A nationalist is somebody who would probably suffer from a little bit of xenophobia, which, as far as I'm concerned, you look at Trump supporters, and I don't know if there's that much. Look, if you're a patriot, you have nationalism in you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you support your nation, and you don't want it to be destroyed. You don't want it to be watered down. You want it to be strengthened. That's a nationalist.
So the Democrats love to call us patriots.
Nationalists, a.k.a. Nazis,
Nazi,
a.k.a. right wing.
Right.
No, they don't even. They won't.
Not socialist.
No, they'll flat out say, "Oh, the Nazis weren't socialists just because they had socialism in their name. It was just socialist in name only."
They were national. They were like you.
They were you Nazi.
Look at you.
Nazi,
I'm looking right at you. You got that trifold hat, dude. You might as well have a Hitler hat.
Which was what?
A round one.
The bus driver
The bus driver hat.
Right. By the way, that bus is going straight to Utopia.
To hell. Oh, my God.
That's why they call it the bus
driver hat. Because it'll take you straight to hell.
Or communism. Same thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, back in the day, it was a fight between the leftists and the all the way leftists.
Right.
There was no right. There was no right.
None.
So anyway, basically what Hitler did was take fascism, nationalism, and say, let's put a nationalist spin on communism. Whereas communism, American communists, they're all globalists.
Right.
They want a caliphate for the world to be communism.
Right.
And same thing with USSR. Back in the day, they would have, if it was up to them, they would have converted every single nation in the world into a communist state, and they would have all lived under a big communist world utopia. That
Correct.
was what their goal was. Nationalists are like, hey, to hell with you guys over there in your country.
Right.
We're just doing our thing in our country, and we don't want you to meddle with us.
Right.
That's what a nationalist
Well, you know what the quintessential nationalist would be somebody living in Sweden.
Okay.
Did you know that if you, Switzerland. Did you know that if you want to,
Sweden.
if you want to move to Switzerland and say, hey, I'm picking up shop, I'm going to Switzerland, I'm paying the money, I want to get citizenship, I want to move there.
Okay.
In order to move there like that, you have to prove you have enough money to own a house, to survive, to live, to make it before you can get some kind of citizenship.
So financially, there's a consideration.
Yeah, you've got to be secure financially.
But also, what if you say, all right, I'm rich. I'm going to buy the biggest house you got in Switzerland.
Right.
And I'm going to push my communist agenda.
Like, well.
My name is George Soros.
And if that has anything to do with taking away our law that says everyone has to have a gun, you're going to have some problems.
Or what if their culture, they're going to bring a culture that is completely at odds, and they commit to not assimilating.
No, they won't let you in. Well, Japan said, we will not accept any Muslims at all. If you have a company that's run by Muslims that come to Japan to do work, like work visa, work whatever, your Muslim people cannot have work visas.
Wow. Well, then there's that issue in it's legendary in Australia. You got to become Australian, or else you're out of here.
Hey, I know we reported last week about the Australian Prime Minister blasting America.
Yeah, they have a gun issue.
And I think I forgot to bring this up, but did you know that there were shootings over there?
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Last week, and they have as soon as they outlawed guns, they had murder by knife went up through the roof.
Because if they can't get their hands on a knife, they got to go with a gun, or a gun. You got to go with a knife.
Okay, so back to Hitler. He's back. The film.
I can't wait to see that.
His character chillingly notes a smoldering anger among the people.
You know they're going to try to politicize it to make it look like the reason they all love Hitler is because they're all a bunch of Trump-supporting right-wingers.
Right. Like in the 1930s, with visible satisfaction, Matsuchi, Hitler, also meets members of the populist nationalist Alternative for German Party and the neo-Nazi NPD, while the final scenes show news footage of far-right mobs and a rally by the PEGIDA movement.
PGD.
Oh, short for Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the Occident.
So it's interesting. So you're saying that, oh gosh, there's a connection between people who don't want Muslims to take over their country and those who would prefer to have Hitler come back from the dead and take over.
Yep.
Interesting.
When we opened the show with 3 million Muslims, refugees, busting the borders of Europe, and Angela Merkel saying, we'll take We'll take a third of those. We'll take a mill.
Call me a xenophobe all you want, but if I can put myself in the shoes of a European in whatever country, could be Germany, France, wherever, just because of the nature of Islam and the fact that
they don't assimilate at all.
Well, they can't. They have to go by the culture set out by them through the Quran and all that kind of stuff. And also, if they believe in Sharia and they also are pushing that onto the government in whatever country I'm in,
right?
I don't want them there. I don't want the refugees, and I'm going to push against it and whatever. And don't call me a racist for that, because I mean,
I've got pride in my country and my nation and where I live.
Just a nationalist.
Yeah. So one viewer who gave her name only as Angela, she said, it was all a bit too forced. The film is playing too hard on the fears about Nazi ideology. And they only picked out the worst sequences, right?
Oh, so they filmed like, let's say 50 hours of him walking around the streets, and they're going to cherry pick the few where they run up and say, oh, we love you.
Out of the 50 hours, they picked up the 50 seconds.
Right.
Right. That's what she's saying. So
okay.
another viewer, Tobias, who is not biased, Tobias was more disturbed. Quote, "This is real, man. We need to debate this. It shows how easily people can be manipulated. This is the right moment because the danger is here now."
The right moment to do what, and what danger is he talking about?
Debate this.
This being that there's people that like Hitler, or that... Is that what he was talking about?
I think he was talking about we need to debate this. After watching the movie, he said we need to debate this. So maybe the love for Hitler. Yeah, okay. You can debate that, sure.
Okay.
Pick it apart. Get some psychologists in there. Try and pick these people apart. Understand how crazy they are. And then maybe he's talking about the movement, the movement of Muslim and Mohammedists and the jihadists coming up from Syria, from ISIS.
I got a theory brewing in my head.
Oh, brewing.
All right. So back in World War I, they lost Germany.
Right.
And so you have the Treaty of Versailles, which just completely crippled Germany. And they were oppressed by this treaty. They were impoverished. It was just a horrible place to be. And people were just so sick and tired of the restrictions put on them that the backlash was Hitler,
Right.
support for him,
Right.
and then war, which was World War II. Here's the theory. After World War II, all these restrictions come from Germany, not from outside, but from within Germany, not allowing you to fly something like a flag that is a Nazi flag, not allowing you to express yourself as far as what your feelings are towards Hitler, and it's a whole segment of thinking that you can't even bring up. Could it be a parallel between the two types of oppression, and is the backlash going to be similar, where originally the backlash was, here's a Hitler guy that's going to rise us out of the ashes, and we're going to take over the world, and that's what caused World War II. And now the backlash for the oppression of thought, it's like thought police.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't think about Hitler. You can't think about.
They're talking about computers right now who are predicting thoughts.
Oh my gosh. Well, so the backlash for this being now an actual person walking on the streets that looks like Hitler, possibly even adorned with Nazi
Right.
paraphernalia, is like embraced and cheered and whatever. And where does that lead? So the moral of the story is, stop telling people what to think and what to do and oppressing people, and just let people do and think what they want, and let the free market decide.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. There's a hippie bookstore on the east side
Okay.
of Cincinnati, and it's all children's fun stuff and books, and they use paintbrushes and cheap, like it was all done on the cheap.
That's how hippies do it.
Right, like nuts and
Clothes.
bolts glued
Who
to the
needs
wall.
clothes?
Right, don't need no clothes. Don't need no stinking clothes. It's so as soon as
be free, man.
it's gonna be free love. I love everybody,
You gotta say, man,
man.
groovy.
Oh, wow. Hey man, just be mellow.
Yeah,
Just be mellow.
chillax.
Hey, can you play that? You play that song again, Mellow Yellow?
That freedom rock.
Yeah, you crank it up.
Turn it up, man. All right, we're getting
So, so we went to this hippie place with the kids because my wife, she's a little bit of a, maybe not a hippie, but she loves that type of hippie stuff.
the culture I
Yeah.
could see her being into. Yeah.
So we go there, and as soon as we walk in the front door, the display window has all these books in the window with a wide brown like paper band around every single book, and it says banned book. Like all of them. I'm like
band as in let's build a pile of books. And
I don't know.
We'll set it on fire.
I was like, man, this is weird. I've never seen a bookstore like that before. So I talked to the hippie dude behind the counter who had dreadlocks, and he was like, "No." he had the ponytail, and he had it weaved, and he was balding on top.
Oh,
And
he was at Woodstock.
He was great.
Man.
Oh, he was Woodstock. Oh,
No,
yeah,
he was there.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's no question about it. And he's like, "Yeah, man. No, it's our banned book club. These are all the books, man, that are banned in schools, and they're banned in places and other libraries. We don't ban stuff here."
Okay.
And I thought about, I'm like, right.
Yeah, you got to
You
agree with
don't
that.
ban books. I'm like, what are they going to do next? Burn them? He's like, whoa, dude, right. They did, man. They burned them back in the day.
This guy sounds like a total.
And I'm like, dude, what is that?
It's just the incense, man.
Is somebody burning
It's just incense.
or oregano? No, that's true story. Absolutely.
Wow.
So the hippie and I came to agreement that we are both of the party of
Individual freedom.
no control. Yeah, we're not part of the control party.
Right.
We're the anti-control party.
So right and left, I think is well, as defined by pop culture, is a misnomer.
Right.
It just doesn't really fit what's really going on. What we really have is a battle between individual freedom and control of individuals by a centralized government. And it could be the government we're talking about, or the controller could be Sharia. It could be communism.
Right.
It could be a king, a dictator, whatever it is. And that's the two. So the question people that think, well, we need that control because there's crazy people out there. You need to reconcile what this problem you have that you're projecting onto other people.
Right.
Because you're taking freedoms away from people.
Maybe they're the one that's crazy and they don't want to be.
They're projecting.
Yes.
Because they know they need to be controlled.
Right.
Dude, if they didn't control me, you know what I would do?
If there were no laws,
It'd be like the Purge every day.
every day the purge.
Instead of the Purge Day, it would just be a country called the Purge.
Purge.
Yeah. Or
Right.
a world.
Oh, yeah. Well, the purge world.
There you go.
Wow. So to wrap up the whole Hitler thing, I've got a sound clip, 10 things you may or may not know about Hitler. You ready? Here goes. Bring back a little nostalgia.
Number 1. Hitler was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1939. He was nominated by Brandt, a member of the Swedish Parliament. The man was a dedicated anti-fascist, and he made the nomination as a joke, but unsurprisingly, his sarcasm wasn't very well received. Number 2. Hitler invented the blow-up sex doll. German troops were getting syphilis from engaging with French prostitutes.
Well, that's
so to
because they're
counteract
French.
this, Hitler had lifelike dolls made that could pack into soldiers' bags and provide comfort when needed. Number 3. Hitler's first love was a Jewish girl. Lacking courage, he never spoke to her. He was only 16 at the time, and he wrote a number of love poems about her. Some sources claim he even contemplated suicide, as an escape from the suffering unrequited love caused him. Number 4.
Speculation.
Hitler led the first public anti-smoking campaign in modern history.
There you go.
Okay,
The
hold on.
Nazi anti-
Okay, hold on. I want you to listen very closely to this next couple of things.
That one perked my interest. The other stuff was just like, oh wow,
Gee
okay,
whiz.
made a blow up sex doll, whatever. But
Now get ready.
yeah,
tobacco campaign banned smoking in public transport vehicles and raised the tobacco tax. They also promoted health education and organized lectures for soldiers. Number 5. Hitler was a vegetarian and created laws against animal cruelty. He passed laws which regulated
guy's
animal
a
slaughter
leftist.
as well as animal transport. Most importantly, he prohibited hunting and limited animal testing. Unfortunately, the animals previously used in medical experiments were replaced by the Jews. Number 6. Hitler was saved from drowning by a priest when he was 4 years old. The priest was around Hitler's age and jumped to the rescue when the ice under Hitler's feet cracked and he sank into the freezing water. Ironically, the hero grew up to regret the incident. Number 7. During the First World War, a British soldier spared the life of a wounded German. That German was Adolf Hitler. The soldier had a clear aim to kill at point blank, but he decided not to shoot. Hitler later found an article about the soldier, recognized him in the picture, and saved the clipping. Number 8. Hitler planned to collect thousands of Jewish artifacts to build a museum of an extinct race after the war. He ordered the collection of 200,000 items, which were photographed and catalogued. The collection was meant to serve as a trophy case. Number 9. Hitler never once visited a single concentration camp. In fact, he was very careful about keeping a safe distance from all the dirty work. He deliberately spoke very vaguely about the subject, and no written order about the killings ever existed.
Yep.
He gave the most sensitive orders exclusively and verbally. Number 10. Hitler only had one testicle. Reportedly, he was injured in battle, with his abdomen and groin suffering most of the damage. As a result, he lost one of his testicles. The war doctor supports this claim, although no conclusive evidence was ever made public.
Well, I'm glad that they pointed that out. I did not know that about Hitler.
You know,
That just takes away from all the other stuff. Why would you do that?
And I almost cut that. I almost cut that sound clip off at that because I was so
it
mad.
makes a mockery out of all the serious stuff. I'll tell you what. I don't know if the person who made that sound clip knew what they were talking about.
No, they had no idea what the points that they could have connected.
Yeah, he's
they
a
had
leftist.
no idea. Mm-hmm.
He's a leftist. He's a vegetarian, anti-smoking, environmentalist, animal lover.
You and I have been around smoke and cigarettes for probably a large part of our youth. Young youth.
Mm-hmm.
You probably more exposed than me.
Right.
And for a longer period of time. We're both cool. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't die.
And I'm good.
And if we die of lung cancer, I'll come back on if I'm dying of terminal lung cancer, I'll come back on the air and say, we were wrong.
Well, I got the leukemia. No, that's blood cancer.
Yeah, that's
blood
not a lung
cancer.
cancer. Anyway, yeah, so...
and I'm not advocating cigarettes. You know, every once in a while I like to have a really expensive, nice cigar.
But
every once in a while...
People on the right, especially libertarians on the right, are really against tobacco control.
Well, do as you will. I don't have a problem with that. And this whole argument about people... I know we're getting off a little bit of a tangent. The argument that people have with, well... Can you believe nowadays that we would allow a company to invent a product that kills? Meaning cigarettes.
They wouldn't have known. It wouldn't have mattered. If cigarettes were invented for the first time ever tomorrow, it would still take at least 10, 15 years minimum to start to show a connection between that product and death.
Right.
So in that 15-year span... more likely 20 years, there would become an industry big enough that you couldn't just take it down by saying, hey, it kills. And the same thing's going to happen with cell phones if it turns out that it does cause brain cancer.
Right. And the left in Hollywood made cigarettes so cool.
Have you seen a movie from the 50s and 60s? It's like...
They smoked through the whole thing. Chain smoke.
Well, not only they chain smoke, but today... if you were to make a period piece, it wouldn't be believable unless everybody... You ever seen the movie Good Night, Good Luck? Good Night and Good Luck? With George, what's his name?
Nori?
Clooney. If you look at... I haven't even seen the movie, but if you watch Good Night and Good Luck with George Clooney, it's a black and white period movie. Every single scene in the trailer... Not only is everybody smoking, but you can't even see the back of the room. It's so smoke-filled. And so they did a good job of making a period piece because it was accurate.
Humphrey Bogart died at the age of 58.
Ooh, that's pretty young.
Lung cancer.
Do you think it was caused by smoking?
He smoked Lucky Strikes non-filtered 2 packs a day.
2 packs at a time.
At a time. Right.
You ever seen that Guinness Book of World's Record?
Oh, he opens
cigarettes in a mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Humphrey.
You know John Cougar Mellencamp, who no longer likes to be called Cougar.
I don't know why. He wants to be called John Mellencamp, but us
Back in the
80s
day-
people.
They made the name for him because it was catchy or something, I guess.
Well, I guess, 3 names is like Lee Harvey Oswald.
Whoa.
You got to do the 3 names.
Maybe that's why they went.
John Wilkes Booth.
He claimed at one time that he'd go through a carton a day.
I don't think that's possible.
That's what he said. He said he would.
So when did he die?
He's still alive.
How is that even possible?
He said, look at his biography. When VH1 did Behind the Music,
Yeah.
and they did the interview on him. This is going back, folks. I don't even know if VH1 is still around.
I'll have to ask my dad.
Oh, go
Because he is a VH1 junkie.
right. Well, they did an interview with him, and he claimed that he would wake up every half hour to smoke a cigarette through the night.
So he's like a baby, like an infant. You
Right.
have to every
Sucking
2
on it.
hours, they wake up and they
sucking
need
on
to,
it. Right, sucking on
Yeah,
it.
they needed a little
And
breastfeeding.
he would use one match in the morning and then chain smoke those cigarettes right off one to another. Never have to light
Wait,
another
you mean
one
he
again.
would use one match for 3 cigarettes back to back? Like he could smoke the cigarette before the matches burned down.
No. He would light one cigarette and then use that cigarette to light the next.
Oh, okay.
And he'd go through a
I was
whole-
trying to make a joke about how quickly he smokes.
Oh, right. Well, he did the Bugs Bunny smoke where you take one inhale
And the whole thing.
and the whole thing burns all the way down.
with the they didn't have filters back then, but yeah, all the way.
Right.
They use roach clips.
Oh, Lord. No, they used the long stick thing.
Oh, that's right.
That you
Well, you had to be rich for that,
yeah.
or a penguin.
Oh, man. Wow. So, hey, you want to take a stab at a couple things that are going on with Trump this week?
Sure.
He was on Meet the Depressed.
Did they ask him any questions?
No, Chuck Todd decided to argue with him.
Did you know I just found out this week that his first initial is not F?
What?
Yeah.
No, come on.
I thought for sure it was F, and the reason I thought so, and I actually, about a year ago on this show, I pointed out that it was F Chuck Todd because
Yeah, I remember you telling me. Yes, you
it was
told
about a year
me.
ago on this show.
You convinced me
Yes.
of why it's F Chuck Todd. I don't even think it was a year ago. I think it was less than a year ago.
It seemed like about a year. It was a long time ago. And I said when he used to come on MSNBC before he became a host, he would come on as a contributor and sometimes a field journalist. And when they would go to him, they would have his name, and I swear I saw F. Chuck Todd in the caption.
Right.
But apparently, there's a phenomenon in psychology where you would remember things differently than they actually happened, because that could not have possibly happened, because the F in F. Chuck Todd was an invention of Rush Limbaugh, which was a spin-off of Chuck U. Schumer.
Chuck U. Schumer.
Yeah, so U is not Chuck Schumer's middle initial.
But Chuck U. It's kind of, you can kind of figure out what
Kind
that
of
means.
sounds like
Kinda-
something else.
Schumer. And this would be F. Chuck.
Yeah. Which
Todd.
sounds like effed up
Todd.
So that was an invention of Rush Limbaugh, and apparently he said it enough and never explained. Every time he said F. Chuck Todd, he never said, well, it's not really F. Chuck Todd, it's Chuck Todd, but I'm throwing the F out. He never said that.
No, he never does.
So eventually I just assumed it's F. Chuck Todd.
Dude, that is so
So
funny.
that's the history of the F. Chuck Todd thing. So anyway,
I've
now
got-
Chuck Todd is the host of Meet the Depressed, and he interviewed Trump.
Talk to him about a myriad of things. He started to make my eyes bleed for the first
Trump?
half of the... No, Chuck, F. Chuck.
Oh, F. Chuck.
By arguing with Trump for the first half of the show about guns. I just couldn't even get into it. I just let it... So I kept fast forwarding,
Liberals are so dumb when it comes to gun control.
He's so obsessed with it too, and he kept trying to throw out Trump's words from statements and past things, and you just can't do that to Trump. You can't do it at all.
It doesn't work.
So these are mistitled, but the sound clip that I have.
How do you mistitle your sound clips?
Well, it's titled the same number, but a different wording. Anyways, Trump on Meet the Depressed talks about Russia and the Middle East.
Came across to me as if you welcomed Putin's involvement in Syria. You said it was sort of like you saw very little downside. Why?
I'll tell you what, I am somebody that, and you know I've been saying this to you for a long time, I want our military to be beyond anything, no contest. And technologically, most importantly, because you're getting now militaries have to be technologically advanced, so we probably have a big advantage. We do have a big advantage of that. But we are going to get bogged down in Syria. If you look at what happened with the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, that's when they went bankrupt. They went bankrupt. They were there so long,
so you
fought
think
so hard.
You think Putin's going to get
They're
sucked
going to
into
get bogged down. Everybody that's touched the Middle East, they've gotten bogged down.
There's some
now,
truth to that.
Putin wants to go in. Putin does not want ISIS. I know they haven't hit him as hard as they should be hitting him because
They're hitting Assad. They're hitting people we've trained.
Well, excuse me. They're hitting people. We're talking about people that we don't even know.
Right.
The rebel group, we have no idea. I was talking to a general 2 days ago. He said, we have no idea who these people are. We're training people. We don't know who they are. We're giving them billions of dollars to fight Assad. And you know what?
Okay, just to stop on that.
Very good point. He had the fact, which was he talked to somebody that said, we don't need an official, a very high ranked, somebody that would know. We don't really know who these people are. We're just hoping that the millions of dollars that we're spending...
No, sorry. Back you up. Billions.
Oh, Bill, I am sorry to all you... That is... I'm going to have to correct myself. Billions. The billions that we're spending on training these people.
5.
And...
There's $500 million to train 5.
500 million or billion?
There's billions, but there was $500 million spent to train 5.
Okay, so the $500 million to train 5 of them.
Right.
Then, in addition to that, all the Toyota trucks that we're sending them.
Billions.
And not even remembering. It's like, where did all these Hilux... Dude, do you not remember that you sent them?
How does the U.S. question Toyota?
Yeah,
and a Toyota pulls out a bill of bill of lading.
Yeah, like this was you.
Look right here, you signed it personally, and it says 156 Hilux, 134 Lolux.
So this wraps everything together because earlier in the show we're talking about sending them to people that we don't know if they're running away.
I claimed that these rebels, I claimed that they were part and parcel
of ISIS.
Of ISIS, if not beholden to ISIS, if not maybe at the very least they have a level of fear and will appease ISIS to live.
That's best case scenario. Best case scenario.
Okay, best case scenario, right.
But at worst, they're probably just like, hey, we're not really in ISIS.
Well,
we're cool with them.
Boko Haram?
Yeah.
He's not of ISIS, but he's got his own deal. And he's cool with ISIS.
Okay.
And ISIS is cool with him.
So,
because he steals and rapes women, too, under Sharia law.
This is wrapping it all up. I wonder if anybody else has sewed this up like Smith Radio has. But
we're knocking it out of the park tonight.
We've got Trump talking about how they admit to him that we don't know who the hell these people are that we're training. And then earlier in the show, we're talking about how in the world did we go from giving Toyota trucks to people that we think are rebels, and then they're all in the hands of ISIS. Well, that all makes sense now. We don't know who the hell we gave them to.
Right.
And it turns out they're in ISIS' hand. What does that tell you about the people that we think are rebels against ISIS?
Right.
So,
and what is our deal with trying to overthrow Syria? I mean, we overthrew Libya, and we see that's a complete civil war.
Iraq. We took out Saddam Hussein.
And that's a nightmare.
Total nightmare.
So why would we be trying to overthrow another government?
It sounds like Putin is the only one that has a freaking clue what the hell's going on here.
All right, so Trump elaborates on this.
Okay.
It's very possible. I'm not saying Assad's a good guy because he's probably a bad guy, but I've watched him interviewed many times, and you can make the case. If you look at Libya, look what we did there. Mm-hmm. It's a mess. If you look at Saddam Hussein with Iraq, look what we did there. It's a mess. It's going to be the same thing.
Do you think the Middle East would be better today if Gaddafi, Saddam, and Assad were sort of if Saddam and Gaddafi were still there and Assad were stronger?
Not even
do you think the Middle East would be safer?
It's not even a contest, Jack. It's not even a contest.
say
Iraq
Jack?
is a disaster. And
It'd be
ISIS
better
came
off
out-
if Saddam were
Don't
in
forget,
charge.
ISIS came out of Iraq.
Right.
It was
Oh, I
like the
understand.
leftovers that didn't get
But let me
taken
button this
care
up.
of.
If Saddam and Gaddafi, you think things would be more
Of course
stable?
it would be. You wouldn't have had your Benghazi situation, which is one thing, which was just a terrible situation, but of course it would. Libya is not even, nobody even knows what's going on over there. It's not even a country
So you
anymore.
welcome Putin's involvement?
I like that Putin is bombing the hell out of ISIS, and it's going to be ISIS. I'll tell you why. Putin has to get rid of ISIS, because Putin doesn't want ISIS coming into Russia.
Why do you trust him and nobody else does?
I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all.
You know, that's perfect. You see how Trump comes back?
Immediately.
Why do you trust him? No,
Did I say I
never
trust him?
Right. And
But I believe him before I believe something that comes out of the Obama administration.
Right. And I just want to add to Libya. Yeah, Muammar Gaddafi, his sons and his family were bad people, bad dictators, bad rulers. I agree with that.
They
100%.
were involved in the terrorist attack in
Pan Am
yeah.
flight
But he ended up paying
478.
restitution for that.
Yeah, and
But still it happened.
And he got scared by Bush and said, "Hey, I've got chemical weapons. Just take them from me."
Oh, please bring the inspectors in. He demanded, he ordered UN inspectors to come in because he was scared to death of being found in a spider hole.
So Obama is quoted quoted as saying, Libya is Hillary's thing. Hillary, not single-handedly, but all of Libya, the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi by supporting the rebels. We supported the rebels then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely an aid.
And
of
now
the US
look what
on that.
happened. Hillary aided and abetted the rebels in Libya, and now look what happens. It is a complete, absolute vacuum. It's a hellhole. It's a civil war at best. It is an absolute nightmare just waiting for ISIS to take over and continue murder and rape.
Yeah, it's like that's part of the caliphate right there.
And all this oil that is in Libya, companies like Exxon and Gulf and all these different companies that would buy the oil from Libya. We did an article on this a few months ago. They don't know who to pay.
Oh my gosh.
They want to buy the oil, but they don't know who to pay to get the oil.
So it's just like coming out and it's being almost like it's like a black market.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And they're like, we'd pay you a couple $100 million for loads of that, but I don't even know if I could trust you.
Well, not only that, it might violate U.S. law.
Could violate U.S. law, and then again, I could pay you. You could ship it to me, and then another guy says, "Oh no, you should have paid me. Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, and then how do
Bring
you
it back."
Yeah, what do you do at that point? You can't get any more oil. You might not be able to give it back to them, but then they'll be like, "We're not sending you another shipment until you pay for your last shipment."
It's like, huh? I already wrote the check. So that's Libya. Hillary supported the rebels in Libya, completely overthrew Libya. Libya is an absolute nightmare right now. And so Trump is agreeing with that.
Other than we both got very good ratings the other night on 60 Minutes.
Hold on.
Putin is bombing the hell out of ISIS, and it's going to be ISIS. I'll tell you why. Putin has to get rid of ISIS, because Putin doesn't want ISIS coming into Russia.
Why do you trust him and nobody else does?
I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. Other than we both got very good ratings the other night on 60 Minutes. This was with me and Putin. Can you believe this? Of all
there
things,
you go.
right? So I don't know. Did I get the ratings or did he? But the truth is, it's not a question of trust.
Shout out.
I don't want to see the United States. We've spent $2 trillion in Iraq, probably $1 trillion in Afghanistan. We're destroying our country. We owe $19 billion. We're bogged down. Russia was bogged down in Afghanistan, meaning the Soviet Union. It broke up the Soviet Union. They're going to get bogged down. You watch. As sure as you're sitting there, and I'm the one that said don't do.
So you would
Chuck, I said don't do Iraq.
You would pull out of what we're doing in Syria
No,
right
I'd
now.
sit back and this is not usually me talking,
Yeah.
okay? Because I'm very proactive,
Right.
as you probably know.
I know.
But I would sit back and let's see what's going on. Here's the problem to what you're saying in Syria. We are fighting Assad, and we're fighting for people and helping people that we don't even know who they are. And they may be worse than Assad. They may be worse, okay? They may be worse. And if Assad never happened, if you didn't have a problem in Syria, you wouldn't have the migration. You wouldn't be talking about all of these countries with what's going on in Europe, and now they're talking about taking 200,000 people that we don't even know who they are and bringing them to the United States. The whole thing is ridiculous. So I'm not justifying Putin, but you watch. He'll get bogged down there. He'll be there. He'll spend a fortune. He'll be begging to get out. Everybody that's gone to the Middle East has had nothing but problems.
So President Trump, you're going to...
Yeah, that's all.
Well, sounds like he was about to answer.
But then when you look at the Democrats, Trump,
What is
I mean,
that?
Trump, I call you Trump.
What was that?
That's the sound clip on Bill Maher's show.
How'd that play?
About a guy blowing up on Hillary.
Oh, Mr. Producer, wake up!
I wake up.
So, no, it sounds like he was about to ask him, so President Trump is not going to be involved in military operations in the Middle East.
Right.
And he probably was going to say, I'm not getting bogged down in that
Not
crap.
get bogged down in that. Well, think about it. And I've talked about this before. You cannot give a nation, a culture, not a nation, a culture of people. You cannot give them democracy. You cannot give them and instill freedom in a culture that is not moral and just.
And not only that, but they're not going to accept it unless they're being painfully oppressed, like the British colonists were back in the Revolutionary time. I mean,
They're not asking for democracy, because if they were, they'd be fighting for freedom. They ain't doing that.
They don't want freedom, and you can't force freedom on other people, or else you're going to be looked at as the oppressor.
Right. So that's my big thing. I know we were in the midst of nation building, if you will.
It's not going to work.
Nation building apparently, clearly now, does not work.
There should be a constitutional amendment of some sort in the Constitution that states that we are to only go to war with the objective of completely winning with unconditional surrender and possibly even the takeover of that territory.
Right.
That way, and I know you're thinking, oh, it's just a bunch of imperialists. No, what I'm saying is if we know that we can only go to war with that objective, and if the world knows that if we go to war with you, that must be written in stone, our objective, number one, people aren't going to mess with us. Number two, we're going to be very careful on who to retaliate on.
Well, I mean, I want to be that country, like I keep bringing up again and again. I want to be that Sweden, that's Switzerland. I want to be that country that everybody, Swiss bank accounts. Why is that such a big deal? Swiss bank accounts.
I don't think it is anymore, but back
I know,
in the
but
day,
yeah,
back in the day.
But you know, I want to be that country. Not you can call me an isolationist if you want.
Oh, I may be on board with you on this,
and I don't care. But I want to be that country that is respected and well known for tough borders, tough rules. But if you play by the rules of the game, you will have an abundant amount of freedom
and protection too. So maybe people in oppressive dictatorships have rich people in them that'll say, I'm just gonna put my money in an American bank account instead of a Swiss bank account. Have them put it in an American bank account, and it'll be protected there
because you know that country will do right by that.
Right. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Well, there's something else I was thinking that when you have these countries that are well respected like that, and they have all the freedom inside. The freedom's inside. The freedom of America is inside America. That's why people are jumping the border to get here. However, what they fail to realize is that freedom comes not by free will of doing whatever you want. Free sex, free love, free
shooting your AK-47 in the air.
Freely. No. Freedom comes, and this is what we teach our children, freedom comes from personal responsibility. Doing what's right when you know nobody's looking. Do the right thing.
Because as soon as you're doing the wrong thing, you're pretty much forfeiting your freedom.
Right.
Because other people who see you doing the wrong thing is going to say, wait, stop him. He's doing the wrong thing. We can't live. When society makes an attempt to prevent you from doing what you're doing, they are limiting your freedoms to do what you're doing. Why would they do that? Because you're doing the wrong thing. Right. That's why you have to do the right thing.
So just real quick, this came across the wire. Nidal Hasan.
I love this story. I saw it earlier.
Fort Hood shooter.
The terrorist
The
act.
terrorist Fort Hood terrorist shooter.
Workplace violence.
You know, they I don't even know if they've done it. They probably have done it yet. I think we already did a report on that where they were fighting. The families were fighting to get paid.
They can't for
terrorist act combat.
For combat. Yeah, combat. Right. If you got shot, wounded, if you're casualty or you died as a result of Hassan's Fort Hood shooting,
terrorist act,
you don't get a Purple Heart.
That is so just enraging.
Yeah, that's a national tragedy of the Obama administration.
Absolutely. So he is being sentenced to death.
That's so awesome. There's a justice in the world,
right?
In the universe.
So somebody else who may or may not be sentenced to death, Bo Bird-Dog, is back in the news.
I would think that the death penalty should be on the table because I think an argument has been made. I don't know how well it could be presented in court that his actions have actually caused the death. And I'm not saying rescue efforts have resulted in death. I don't think that if all you could say is, hey, people died when they tried to rescue you when you ran off, I don't know if I would support the death penalty because of that.
They can connect the dots.
But
yeah, right.
If he gave information that allowed the enemy to kill Americans and they were successful in that endeavor and they can actually prove that and connect those dots, yes, he should be tried with the death penalty in play. And if it comes out that they give him the death penalty, have no. I was reading all up about Julius and Ethel Rosenberg.
I was just thinking about that right now.
I was just reading up about that. And if you read Wikipedia articles on Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, it was clearly, completely written by communists. Completely. The whole thing. They were trying to say that they should not have...
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
You're telling me Wikipedia is written by communists?
Well, that article is about Julius and Ethel.
So Wikipedia is supposed to be an open and free sourced place.
Oh, it is. It's open and
honesty.
free to communists to come in and write whatever the hell they want. Now, they make a case that Ethel was not guilty of anything that should have gotten the death penalty. She ended up getting the death penalty, and it was carried out. Turns out it was her. It was Julius's sister that should have gotten. Oh no, I'm sorry, not Julius. Yeah, Julius's. There's another woman that should have gotten the death penalty. That was not Julius's wife.
Right.
And the guy who threw Ethel under the bus said, "I would never." He lied, changed his testimony to save his wife. This is Ethel's brother. He said he ended up later on saying, "Look, my wife, the mother of my children, is more important to me at this point in my life than my sister. So I had to throw my sister under the bus to save my wife." So
maybe he didn't even like his sister.
It's possible. You know, there's sibling rivalries and stuff like that. So he ended up testifying, lying in order to save his wife and Ethel. However, Julius, totally guilty.
Right.
Completely.
So, report and update on Bo Bird-Dog this week. The officer in charge of Sergeant Bird-Dog, Article 32 preliminary hearing, has recommended that the soldier accused of desertion avoid jail time for his actions, according to the defense attorney.
Certainly he deserted. Certainly. That goes without saying. Why are they not trying him for treason?
Lieutenant Colonel Mark... they are trying for treason.
Oh, good.
Right.
Good.
Report to General Robert Adams. The head of the Army Command, who is in charge of the case, also will advise that the matter be decided as special court-martial. Lawyer Fidel told Army Times on Saturday. Confirming reports in other media outlets, soldiers facing special court-martials can receive no more than a year in jail and no worse than a bad conduct discharge. Punishments regarding hard labor and pay for forfeiture have similar restrictions.
They need a general court-martial.
Right. Also recommended Bird-Dog not face a punitive discharge for his alleged actions. A memo from the defense team for him regarding the report said that the officer's recommendations didn't go far enough and requested non-judicial punishment, better known as an Article 15, instead of a special court-martial.
That's ridiculous. If he doesn't get a general court-martial, that's a problem.
So Trump weighed in on this.
We're tired of Sergeant Bergdahl, who's a traitor. He's a traitor, a no-good traitor, who should have been executed.
There you go. Firing squad.
Should have been executed. Oh, the left loves... They're going to run with this all week. Wait.
Did you know that in a combat post, they have fire watches at night so that people can sleep and not get killed?
Right.
If you fell asleep on your fire watch during combat, the punishment for that is execution by firing squad.
Oh!
Even if nothing happens.
Right.
If somebody wakes up, walks out there and sees that the fire watch is dead asleep, you could get the firing squad for that.
Wow. I had another sound clip, but I'm going to skip that due time. Kevin McCarthy is out, and they gave me credit for it, Trump says. And if we're not careful, USA is Greece on steroids. At one point...
Greece being the country.
Right.
When you said Greece on steroids, I was like, huh?
If you had a jug of grease and pumped steroids into it. So he's given this speech out in, I believe it was out in Vegas. At one point in a moment that appeared to be impromptu, Trump brought a supporter in the audience up on stage who declared that she's Hispanic and voting for Trump.
Did she use the word Hispanic?
Yeah. Miriam Witcher, 35 of Las Vegas, waved an issue of People magazine with Trump and his family on the cover, asking Trump to sign it. Afterwards, the Colombian migrant, who noted she came to the U.S. legally, called Trump her number one person in America.
Awesome.
That was there was.
Do you think it was set up? It doesn't really matter, but do you think that it was like, okay, now you need to run up. We're going to let you up there, and you can storm the stage, give Trump a hug, wave your Time magazine, and say these lines.
Maybe it's possible.
I mean, what you don't? He's the leading GOP primary presidential candidate. You don't just let some woman storm up on stage. The security would certainly stop that.
Well, except for that redneck guy that gave Obama a big giant hug like he was going to break him in half.
That was totally staged.
I know, but they staged it to try and make it not staged, but it looked so uncomfortable because it was staged.
Yeah, I remember F. Chuck Todd being like, wow, I can't believe the Secret Service allowed that.
So we never talk about well, not never. We hardly ever talk about Hillary on this show.
Oh, is she still running?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That is a very good question. You need to call in.
She dropped 10 points in 5 days.
Wow, I would have thought she dropped that over.
Over the last 6 months, she's dropped like 40 and 50 points, but it's getting faster.
Well, Bernie Sanders is he the runaway leader of the Democrat primary right now?
Oh, well, not only is a runaway, but he's calling Trump racist and Marxist, all that kind of
Marxist. What?
Not Marxist. That was a slip. They call everybody just awful names.
Right.
So the outspoken socialist Bernie Sanders is
the communist.
Their party. He makes no bones about it, and the crazies on the left love him.
Yeah, just remember, when you hear somebody say he's a socialist, that what they really mean is...
He's the bus driver.
He's the bus driver, and he's a communist. They just can't say the C word. Because they'd be afraid that somebody'd scream McCarthy. We're not talking about Kevin McCarthy either.
No, right. There are articles coming out saying that that communism is making a new comeback.
America is practically like, if there's a spectrum of 1 being totally communist and 10 being totally capitalist, we're like at 2 right now.
Right.
We're almost all the way.
Right.
I mean, all that needs to change now is for Obama to say, we're going to suspend elections indefinitely, and for the time being, I'm going to be your premier.
Okay, and he just might do that. But all you need to know about Hillary and the left is summed up in this soundbite on Bill Maher's show.
Okay.
Bill Maher and the, what is it, his show called?
Real Time?
Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday night's broadcast with Andrew Sullivan. And Andrew Sullivan gave his opinion on Hillary.
Are we going to hear it?
But then when you look at the Democrats, Trump, I call you Trump. you see who's up against this guy, this unbelievably useless, terrible candidate of Hillary Clinton, who has shown
why do you say that?
Had she ever given a speech that you were inspired by? Does she have any good retail skills?
You know
Is she able to come across on TV?
Andrew, I'll tell you something. I always say this. I find her slogan, "Are you ready for Hillary?" to perfectly capsulize how I feel about her. Am I ready for Hillary? Yes. Am I excited? No.
Okay. Hold on. Before I finish the sound clip. Come on, Bill.
It's like.
Okay, before I finish the sound clip. Hold on. Did you hear the three people that, when he said, yes, I am. Am I ready for Hillary? Yes, I am.
So most of the people were like,
and then he said, when he said it, they uproared. It was just.
He said, am I excited about her? No.
And then they uproared. Dude, that says it speaks volumes.
And if you're not familiar with Real Time with Bill Maher, it is the most hardcore leftist show that I know of, where he's just what he'll do. This is the format of his show. He'll bring on 6 complete communists, outspoken, vulgar communists, and 1 right winger. Right. And they will ambush up on him or her so hardcore. He's had Ann Coulter on his show before.
That's insanity.
And let me tell you something. She loves it because she actually defeats him.
Well, when you have truth on your side, you know what the boop you're talking about.
Well, she can do it quick. She can, and you know what? She's actually kind of funny. She's pretty funny.
She is.
She's kind of a comedian. She can snap back with comebacks so quickly and so devastatingly deadly,
right?
That she's actually
she has a good command of the English language, a master,
right? And so she's a good person to have on that show representing the right. Oh wow! Did I say
whoa?
Right, because she will defeat them. She will make them look dumb, and the only way they can defeat her there is to shout her down.
Okay, now listen how they defend Hillary and the examples they use. All the examples they use to defend Hillary.
It's like getting a shot. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready for it.
Since she started campaigning, her polls have continued. A large majority of the country don't believe a word she's saying for good reason. This week her cynicism reached like an almost perfect Clinton level.
But maybe that's not her fault. Maybe it's the press who has it out for her, including the liberal press, by the way.
Poor Hillary. She can't handle the press.
Well, it's not that she can't handle it. It's that people can't handle it. People believe what they read if they ever fucking read.
Whoa.
So now that's funny, if they even read.
Enough. So I'm speaking in my personal capacity. I run a nonpartisan organization. But
of course you do.
First place, she is the massive front runner. So of course, everybody does hack her. And second,
she's a talent-free hack.
She's not talent-free, Andrew. She's not a hack. What is her talent?
She's incredibly smart.
What has she done in her entire life in Washington?
Oh, come on. First of all, she changed how... You go ahead.
What? Tell me. As Secretary of State, even.
As Secretary of State, she actually, for all the Iran deal that you're just talking about, she's the one who put together the entire sanctions coalition. She opened to the Chinese.
The only decision you can really put on her was the disastrous Libya invasion, which repeated every mistake that George W. Bush made, that violated everything that Obama stood for, and has led to disaster.
Okay, it wasn't an invasion, first of all.
I'm sorry, if your country was suddenly attacked by airplanes, you would call it
They weren't attacked. First of all, any president would have done the same thing. There were people on the ground. Do you remember Obama's statement at the time? There were people on the ground who were about to be killed. We came to their aid.
Do you know how many people are being killed right now in Libya because they destroyed stability in that country?
I understand that.
You want to go back to Gaddafi?
Yes, it would be better than what's happening now.
That's not what the Libyans think.
Well, how do you know? It's chaos.
It is chaos.
Which you helped meant. There are people dying today because of their good intentions.
You hate her so much. Were you molested by a real estate lady? I mean, I just never. No, really.
Yeah, I had to turn that down because they. What do you hate her so much? Were you molested by a real estate lady? What does that mean?
Well, she was in real estate. That's how she got her riches. She fleeced poor old folks.
Oh, we talked about this,
right?
Yeah.
Totally fleeced people out of their homes.
Okay, so he was molested by a real estate lady, and the crowd went so wild that I had to skew the audio down so as not to blast our ears.
Well, because what they do is they crank it up for effect.
Oh,
for propaganda effect.
So you heard of all the examples that they gave?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you count them, or did you need?
They
to?
didn't.
What?
They had 0.
What?
He said, "Well, she let me let you handle it."
Yes. What is that?
Let me let you handle it because you probably have that long list right up front in your head. And she was like, "Don't put it on me. I don't know nothing." What are you talking about?
I wasn't there. You know that Iran deal? Yeah, she constructed that whole thing.
Well, that's exactly why she's a failure.
I can't believe she tried to throw the Iran deal on her. That was awful.
She's the first one to accuse Hillary Clinton of the Iran debacle.
Right.
Nobody says, "Look what Hillary did."
No, everybody blames
it on
Kerry.
John Kerry's the one, and also Obama. Obama's the big one, but Kerry actually took and actually.
I think Obama's going to let him take it because
it's a mess. What did we get out of it?
More dead bodies.
Well, not yet, but future dead bodies.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
Did he go and tell them that we do things reminiscent of Genghis Khan?
Well, we do. We do at times. Genghis Khan. Wow. So
Hillary? Were we going to talk about the speakership thing situation? Kevin McCarthy?
Yeah, we will. Real quick. Hillary drops by 10 points in 5 days, said to be in a foul mood on the verge of a meltdown.
Well, I mean, how could she not? If I was Hillary Clinton listening to Bill Maher,
they say she only has days to live.
You mean live like dead? Like she's going to die? Or are you talking about her campaign?
Yeah, they're saying. Didn't you see that on USA Today at the newsstand?
Like her health?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
No, they're saying that she has days to live. Right.
Well, what's wrong with her? Does she have a terminal illness?
Yeah.
What?
She's done. And yeah, I'm just telling you, man.
Oh, all right.
She's got days.
Well, we got like 2 minutes. You want to talk about? Well, we got Kevin McCarthy, the representative from California, was the shoo-in.
Somebody's got dirt on this.
Beep. Well, no, he said that ridiculous line. He screwed himself.
Well, he's got more dirt on him now.
By saying that the Benghazi committee was put together in order to damage Hillary Clinton
and her numbers, bring her down in the polls.
That was the only reason they put it together. That's literally what he said. He literally said the only reason we did that. So
how do you not take him to the woodshed and shoot him?
Well, they did.
Okay.
So he ended up saying, this isn't my decision. I mean, it is my decision, but I'm going to go ahead and literally minutes before they were going to vote him in as speaker.
It's like, I don't want to
minutes.
Right. Because if I accept this, they say I'll go out like Ned Beatty.
Oh, yeah. So it sent everybody scrambling, and so everybody else who could possibly do it is like, I don't want nothing to do with it. And so I don't know how much time we have.
A minute.
I got to be really quick. So basically, I'm going to give Rush Limbaugh the credit for this, but he points out that the reason nobody wants it is because all these people are being led by special interests, and what the special interests want out of their representative is at odds with the people.
Yeah, it's not what we want.
It's at odds with the people, and I thought that was very insightful on Russia's part.
And they're starting to get in trouble. The Republicans are starting to get in trouble by their fan base.
They know that if
right,
so they know if they go for speaker and they become speaker, they're already beholden to their donors, which is going to be at odds with the people. And there's going to be pitchforks and torches. And they don't want to be the guy that goes out with pitchforks.
Look
and
what
torches.
they did to John Boehner. Hey, speaking about Boehner,
He deserved that. He earned it.
No, that's what they're saying.
So,
well, look what happened to Boehner.
So now
Boehner's saying he's going to stay until December.
Yeah, now it almost looks like a big bait and switch.
Yeah,
it looks like a huge bait and switch.
He may even stay.
He may never step down.
Right.
So imagine that. That's just crazy. So I'm thinking Jim Jordan. If you're listening to this deep into our show, which I really appreciate that. Go look up Jim Jordan if you don't know anything.
Shavitz.
No, not Chabot.
No, not Chabot. Shavitz.
I don't know.
CHATZ.
I don't know who that is.
I think out of Utah. No, he's an awesome kid.
Oh, okay. Well, Jim Jordan, look him up. He is awesome. Great conservative, libertarian, Tea Party guy.
Why is that so loud? Oh, there it is.
Sorry about that, folks.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for listening. Another 3 hours has gone by like lightning. This goes so fast. You've got the latest of breaking news anywhere, everywhere. We are all over the place for you. See ya.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.
Did you turn down the